see it though. It's live on all the platforms. It looks like you're good at that right now.
Are we good? I think we're live. I think we got it working. Do we need to click on here? Are we live on all of them? Everybody let me know if you can see me. I think we got it fixed. I see 84 people watching, so that's a good sign. Oh, hi, it works. I think we got it. It's working on YouTube. It is working on Facebook. Do we have anyone on Instagram that can confirm whether it's working on Instagram? I believe it is working. Somebody's saying no sound, but other people are saying they have the sound. So I think there we go. I was worried. I dropped the T equipment. Facebook is good. Instagram is good.
Yeah.
Is Instagram on? All right. Excellent. Very cool. All right. So we got it now. We got it going. Apologies for the technical issues, but it's really great to be able to hang out with everybody. I was just saying before I had this whole opening spiel about how it was great to be able to hang out with everybody and nobody could hear me. So it's fantastic to be able to get everybody here for the 5th anniversary live stream. I really am excited for this. We basically have a whole bunch of little mini interviews that I have planned with different people in the Tea House. You can kind of hear the story of the last 5 years of the Tea House and how we've grown and how we all got into tea and what an amazing tea experience it's been for not just me, but for everybody on the Jesse's Tea House team to be hanging out with you and to be part of this tea community that has come up around my videos. And I can see it in the chat section, just the amount of amazing energy and great tea friends that we've been able to put together by putting together videos. So I'm going to get started now. And then Victor over here is managing the backstage. And so occasionally I may talk to Victor to figure out who the next guest is or how it's going. Also, after different sections, we're going to be doing a bunch of giveaways. So keep on the live stream because we're planning on doing, I think, 15 giveaways over the course of this live stream. Tea pets, tea equipment, teas, obviously, and then also we'll be giving away copies of my book. This was funnier in China. If you want to hear stories about me doing Chinese comedy, so. I'm just going to get started with a little quick intro to myself. I'm sure you already know it, but I'm Jesse. I'm your tea guy. So I originally moved to China in 2012 to study traditional Chinese comedy. I apprenticed to a man named Master Ding Guangquan, and I learned how to do traditional Chinese comedy. And I was doing Chinese comedy professionally for a decade up until COVID. And then COVID basically locked me back in the US. I was on a plane heading back to America for what I thought would be a 9-day vacation when COVID hit. And that turned out to be the beginning of 3.5 years of the borders being closed and no ability to go back to China. But I was a tea guy as a hobbyist when I was in China. And when I got locked back in the States and wasn't sure what to do with my time, I was drinking tea every day. And I really missed doing the sort of cultural exchange, creative work, comedy, just like culture stuff that I did all of my time in China. And I started making tea videos with that you guys have seen. And the original tea videos started being posted 5 years ago today, or not 5 years ago today, 5 years ago last week. So it's been 5 years of basically every day making a video, slowly building up this community and just like really enjoying this unbelievably unexpected and fantastic experience of being your tea guy. And so I want to thank you so much, everybody for being there. We have a comment saying that they're not seeing anything on Instagram. Can you check that, Victor? We'll make sure that we get on for Instagram as well. So again, and thank you so much. I see all the comments. Thank you for 5 years. Thank you for 5 years. People sharing how the tea has really impacted their lives. That's exactly what I'm excited to see. I think it's going to be really, really cool. Just to be able to have the ability to do that tea thing for everybody and to be able to help you guys get access to the really good tea. Very, very excited. So, are we almost ready then for our first guest? Victor, what's our schedule
here?
Live
on Instagram. We can just say hi to you.
Hi, everybody on Instagram. Welcome. We fixed the Instagram problem. We're back on. I apologize that we're against 20 minutes late now for you guys. But we are going to be on for the rest of the time. We're going to have about 2 to 3 hours of cool interviews of Q&A that we're going to do with you guys. We're going to be doing giveaways. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And most importantly, we need the tea. So I'm going to have some of the Sister Eyes Rose Red tea because this is just such a classic good tea. And that's what I want to be doing right now is like classic good tea. And I do invite all of you as well to break out your tea. If you have the ability right now to be able to get your tea set and to be able to, here, I'll show you guys the rose red tea is always so pretty. This is one of my favorites. Look at that. It's got the real Yunnan roses in there. So cool. Greetings from Norway, from all over. That's a good way to say. Good way to say. If ball is life and tea is life, then tea is ball. Think about that. Whoa. Victor liked that one. Awesome. So I think we're probably a little bit behind schedule, so we're ready to get going. The first guest that we're going to have on this live stream is a very special person. Her name is Angel. She was the first employee of the Tea House. She's the current head of our customer service. If you've ever had if an item has broken and they've helped you get a new one, or you're not sure where your package is and they've been able to help you get the tracking number, or if you're just asking when something's going to be back in stock and you get a response, Angel and her team are the ones that have been doing it. And so are we ready to welcome to the stage? Angel, welcome everybody. How's it going, Angel?
Pretty good. Very cold.
Pretty good. Oh, let me turn your volume up here. I can hear you a little bit better. Awesome. So thank you so much for coming to live stream. What did you think when I said, hey, we're going to do a big live stream for a 5th year anniversary and have you on? What did you think?
Very expected.
Oh, I can't hear anything. Hold on. Let me make sure I can hear you. Angel, can you say something again?
Hello, I'm Angel Wheeler. I work here at Jesse's Tea House.
I'm only getting sound through your phone right now. Hold on. This is our first attempt to do any sort of complicated live stream. So let's have that going over here. One moment, please, Angel, as we sort out the sound system. There we go. Working it out, everybody. You guys can hear her fine. Okay, that's good. Why can only I not hear her then? We're looking through my audio settings right now.
Connected Bluetooth.
It's
connected.
Oh yeah, put it on MacBook Air speakers. There we go. All right, Angel, can you speak again, please?
Hi, I'm Angel Wheeler, and I work.
There we go. All right, we got it. Thank you guys so much. So, yeah, so the it's automatically connecting to my AirPods no matter what I do. So I'm going to turn off my Bluetooth because that should make it impossible for the AirPods to connect. Hold on. All right, there we go. Angel, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yep, I hear you.
Perfect. All right, we got it all set. So, yeah, Angel, what did you think when we told you that we're going to be doing a 5-year anniversary live stream?
Not shocked, honestly. Very expected, but excited. Because whenever we have something big, you like to share it with people.
Yeah,
so.
It's super fun. It's been great to work with you these last, when did you join? So how long has it been? You haven't been here the full 5 years, but you've been there close to that.
I think about 4 years.
Yeah. So tell people, what was it like when you joined? How did you join the Tea House team? And what was it like way back in the early days?
So it's a long story, but it was very small, and you had made a Discord, and there were like 12 of us that started in that Discord after your first launch, and we were all chatting a lot about tea, but about everything. And I remember at that point I had just moved, so I didn't have a job. And you had mentioned like, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff I didn't expect like this. And I was like, well, here's my resume if you want. I work in customer service. And then then you hired me, and I've been here the whole time.
That's great. Yeah, it was my perspective when it comes to a lot of like work stuff is like I'm like, I try to push off my anxiety by saying, well, I'll only need to worry about customer service if I have customers, right? And so I kind of assume that I'm going to do all this work and I'm going to get no customers and that I won't have any issues. It turns out that we actually did have customers. And then all of a sudden I was in this moment of like, oh, now I need that customer service person. And so I remember hearing you saying like, oh, I should do customer service. And I thought, you know what, why not? Let's take a swing on this. I had never met you, but you seemed like a reasonable human online. And so I was like, why not give it a try and see how it goes? And I knew from the beginning that what I wanted to do differently than say like really any other tea brand was I wanted to try to replicate this feeling of being a tea guy. And I wanted to like take care of the people who are going to come to me for tea. And I knew that doing it over the internet, if I had any sort of success, I would not be able to do it the same way in China where everybody's over WeChat and there are WeChat groups and the tea guy thing works completely different in China. So I would need a new way of doing it for people here. And so I didn't know exactly what that was, but we've kind of built that together. So what was it like eventually bringing on our second Tea House employee, second team member of the customer service team, and tell people who that was?
So that was funny on the back end. Funny now, but I had been hospitalized around, I think, Black Friday, like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And I had still been working in the hospital as much as possible, but naturally not able to do everything. So my mom was home and I did a Google call with her, like a Zoom call. And I'm like, okay, I need you to log in through my login and like help me with, I gave her like a list of everything I needed help with. And she did great. Like, I feel bad because it just threw her into the fire. Black Friday, just insano style. But then she did really well. And I remember when it was the following year, we had mentioned like, hey, it's a lot to handle and my health wasn't the best at that point. So I was like, hey, if you want to hire someone else, she's already kind of been trained. And you're like, yeah, sure, let's have her join. And then she's been here for, I think, has it been 1.5 to about 2 years?
I think around that, I think it was, so Black Friday 24, so like a little over a year, a little bit more than that, or 2 years. Am I crazy?
No, I think 2 years. And
2 years.
It was also perfect timing because for her, she had just moved at that point. So she was looking for a job at Tractor Supply. And I'm like, can you just help with this right now, please?
That's great. So what do you feel is like the core of like the way you go about doing the customer service? Because you guys get a lot of different requests. Like, how do you see yourself and your role in taking care of the customers?
Well, of course, our customer service is an extension of how you handle the company, how you set out guidelines of you genuinely, and I'm not saying this because you're my boss, I'm saying this because it's true. You do like to make people happy. You like to make sure that everyone gets their tea, likes their tea. Even if they don't buy their tea from us next time, you want them to enjoy tea as a whole and have this experience and this journey. So we take it like that with people with customer service. If you email us going, hey, I haven't drank tea before, what do you recommend? We don't just have like, well, here's what we recommend to every single person. It's like, oh, well, have you liked coffee? Do you like light sodas? Do you like heavy sodas? We try to figure out, personalize for you what will make you happy going forward.
Yeah, I think like the tea guy mentality is really a lot of people might think like, oh, you're making all these social media videos. That's the innovation. In my mind, the innovation is the tea guy mentality. Like, if you go into, like, you met a lot of our tea people when you came to China on our trip, and you kind of see like their mentality of hosting. They're like, what do you like? Do you like this one? Do you like that one? If you like that one, I'll make more of that one. They're always trying to really figure out how to get the right tea for the right person, because it's not like, everybody's going to be different with their taste. And a lot of people don't understand their own taste in tea because if they're new to Chinese tea, they're new. And so I wanted to be a place where we could have all sorts of people come, from people that are like completely new and have never had Chinese tea before, all the way up to like, if you want really high end tea, like we have kind of all of it. So I feel like by maintaining the quality up here, we take care of that. And then the mentality like that I think we try to have is to make sure that people are like in it, that people are engage.
It feels way more like a Chinese company than it does an English company. This doesn't
Yeah,
feel like, because I've done customer service in a lot of companies and it doesn't feel like any of them.
Yeah, we do. We also like we run like our main communication is on WeChat. Like, you know, like we have a lot of the company really is a hybrid company. And so, but that's really cool for me because it feels like it should be that way. It's like it would be weird if we were trying to run this like Chinese tea guy thing and it didn't feel a little bit like a Chinese company. But what about tea questions now? What was your tea situation before you joined the tea house, and how has that changed from being part of the tea house team?
Okay, so starting with tea, we pretty much only had herbal growing up. Lots of herbal, but pretty much only herbal. I never understood why like English people loved tea so much. It was gross. But then so I study textile history. That's what I do kind of on my own time. And China has a lot of the oldest extant garments that you can study. So I had been just researching and then also watching different C-dramas just to like see the different hanfu, and then like Marvelous Women is specifically a show about weaving. And in all of those dramas, they were all drinking out of these little bowls with lids. And I'm like, okay, my parents, they dealt in antique porcelain. So also the fact that I saw a piece of porcelain that I had never seen before was just like, okay, what? I need to know what this is. So I started YouTubing it, and your video was the first that came up. And this was, what is this little bowl with a lid? What is this?
There we go. So you were like, oh, this guy answered my question.
You answered it the exact question that I typed into Google. And then I was watching your videos because they were very interesting. And a few months after you started posting videos, this was also COVID, so we were all online all the time. You posted, you're like, hey, do you want to get tea exactly from China? Because you keep asking, and this is just my tea. So I'm gonna make a box with a bunch of teas. And I think my order was like number 200 something. Like I was on that first live stream.
You were very early. You were on the first batch. If anyone's never seen it before, this is what the original 8 tea samplers look like. This is the actual first tea sampler I ever packed. And it's a little messy now, but it had a welcome card like the ones we have, and it had our tea cards and everything like that. And so it had these individual like plastic baggies that this turned out to be a lot of work that we no longer do, but we would individually put each of these in a plastic bag, and then those bags all had a twist tie. It was actually kind of madness.
It had green grass, like paper grass and stuff.
Yeah, it had like bedding inside of it, which I wish we could still have that, but it was excessive. It was a little bit too much. Also, a lot of just waste. But at the same time, but you got one of these first. I think we packed like 600 of these. That was in the initial pre-order, and so you were in on that very early thing. And so, what did you think of that tea when you got it for the first time, just as a customer?
So I didn't like every tea. I did not like the tea oranges. I think because tea is such a personal. Listen, they're good quality, but I don't like them.
I'm just being a professional hater. That's all. Continue.
I know. Yeah. But when I tried the white tea, I'm like, this is delicious. This is exactly like that herbal flavor that I grew up with, but it's also packaged. So I was very happy about that. And it was fun. It was novel. It was in that ball that you just showed in the plastic bag. So I was hooked after that. I bought a bunch of tea. I bought your tea, and then I bought a bunch of tea from other places because you didn't have any more tea at that time.
Yeah, we had very limited selection back then. But also, I think it is something like people like, I encourage people to try tea from a bunch of different places. Like, I will never be the person saying I'm the only person that has tea out there. Like, but I do think that the I try my best to select everything to the best quality that I can and kind of give more of a experience of the tea. I think we spend a lot of effort on that, of like making it an experience and bringing people into the community in a way that is bigger than just putting leaves in a bag. Yeah.
And then on our Discord, it's no one has said like, oh, you can only talk about Jesse's Tea House. It's like we talk about tea from most of the
there's many, like I learned this in my time running WeChat groups back when I ran my comedy club. Like, you know, we would have these big 500-person WeChat groups for fans of the comedy club I ran. And we had a moderator, and she was like, oh, people are mentioning other comedy clubs or whatever. I'm like, they should. Like, we want the type of people who are going to be into comedy in this group. Like, you know, I don't want to stifle that. I think we don't allow like ads for other companies on the Discord, but like,
Yeah.
like, you know, but I think that's reasonable too. Because I think that part of the thing I'm trying to do is like build a community. I still feel in the tea scene, I can only speak for myself, but I still feel like we're all at the stage where anybody's success in good tea is helpful for everybody. Like, we need people to know that this exists. You know, the competitor is not other like high-end tea companies. The competitor is like ignorance of the fact that there's something better than a tea bag out there. Like, you know, we're fighting the lack of knowledge, not each other, as far as I'm concerned. And so, yeah, so it's been really great. And you came to China as part of the China trip. What were your kind of like highlights of coming to China and being there with the whole team?
Oh my goodness, do you have hours to talk about this? That was the best time of my life, honestly. It was the most beautiful place I had ever been on earth. I haven't traveled that much, but and then we went during the trade war, so I was like, oh goodness, everyone's gonna know that we're Americans, and if they don't like us, that's not really their fault. And I was scared, but everyone was unbelievably nice.
Yeah.
I was practicing my very small amount of Chinese, and everyone was very patient with me. Lots of people wanted photos with.
Your Chinese actually improved quite a lot over 2 weeks. Like, I did have the feeling like if you were really putting in the effort and talking to people and trying out the language with our team, with Sister I, with Jiege, our orange guy. And like, I did have the impression, like, if you got 6 months to live there, you'd be pretty much able to get around and get stuff done.
It is something that is a dream that I would love.
Maybe one day. It's not at all a set thing, but I am looking into whether or not we can find a way to get a courtyard in Dali or something like that, and have an office if anybody from the tea company wants to work on the road from Dali, if they can get their job done. Like, you know, then it would be pretty nice. But we'll leave that for a little bit later. But I just want to thank you, Angel. Thank you so much for being on the live stream and for your almost 5 years worth of work with the customer service. I mean, you know, the company has really grown a lot since you came on, and we've been finding a way to make it work at every scale that we're operating at and get through every trouble. And I know we have a lot of troubles, and so I do appreciate all of your work, and I'm sure all the people in the chat as well who've had great experiences with the customer service appreciate you as well. So very good. Great. Thank you so much, Angel. We're going to go on to our next guest in just a moment. Before we do that, I think I'm supposed to do some giveaways. So I'm going to ask a question. If you had a firework go off right next to you and you made a sound like "wah" or like "whoa" or something like that, what would your sound be? And I'm going to pick a couple of these sounds, and we're going to give away tea pets to the people who make the best sound. So I'm going to go "blah," you know, "whoa," whatever you want to have it be there. I'm going to pick something over here. And Marcia Bell, my mom is on the stream as well. So I hope, thank you so much, Mom, for going out. Yeah, all right. We have, I hope that Mickey, you're writing this down. So we'll do, oh God, there's so many of them. Zach DHX says, "Yiga." Caribou says, "Rawr." And then Bunny Burrow TV says, "Woo, woo, 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 woo." So those three people, congratulations, you won a tea pet. If we can get confirmation from our team that we have those written down, and it just in case, because we're just starting this as the first giveaway, all three of you feel free to private message me on Instagram at Jesse Seahouse saying that you want a tea pet, and we'll make sure that you get your tea pet. And Victor, if you could get confirmation from our team that there is somebody marking this down. I think Mickey was marking it down, but I just want to make sure that they're able to actually do that, because it would suck to tell people that we're giving away giveaways and then not be able to find everybody. So congratulations anymore. Julie says, I wouldn't emit sounds, just a noiseless squeak. I like that. Different way of looking at things. And probably true. Something like that. All right, we're ready to go. Junxi, 准备好了吗? All right, very cool. Hi. All right. Next up on the screen, we have coming in all the way from China at, I think, 1 a.m. or something like that, is Xixi, who is our logistics and new product development team member. So welcome, Junxi. 你说中文还是英文？如果说中文，我可以帮你翻译。
我觉得应该会中文会多一点吧。
Great. So Junxi is going to speak in Chinese and I'll translate. So, 所以首先非常感谢你这几年的工作，帮我们把这个物流和这个采购新产品研发帮我们做好。I'm thanking her for her work in our new product development, in our logistics, and our purchasing. 所以首先你可以给我们分享一下你第一次听到有这么一个解析茶馆，然后你要加入我们的团队，你第一次对我们的茶馆和团队的印象是什么？ So what was your first impression of Jesse's Tea House and our team?
我第一次听到你的时候，我是在这个喜剧的行业里面听到你的名字，然后我以为你还在做喜剧，但是我当初听到我说我要加入杰西的这个茶公司的时候，是非常激动，也非常的unbelievable 我不是有点不是很能相信，我也很难想象一个外国人把中国茶做出口，并且做得这么好，是一个没有想到的，也是作为中国人来讲，我觉得中国人没有做到位的东西。
Junxi was saying that she actually at first heard of me during my time as a comedian, and so she was like, "Oh, that comedian is doing tea now." And like it's actually managing to get it out of China, and it was very interesting to her that a Westerner was succeeding at sharing the Chinese tea culture in a way that a lot of Chinese people had not really been able to do. So very good, thank you for that. 那你作为我们那个团队的一个队友，你可以给大家简单介绍你觉得你做的最重要的工作是什么？ So what do you feel is the most important thing that you do for the tea company?
我觉得这个最重要的事情就是保证我们的产品可以按时的去上线，并且保证一个产品的一个食品安全问题。
Yeah, so she says making sure that all the products actually get purchased, created, arrive on time, get onto the website, and maintaining, of course, our health and safety. 所以你开始做的时候，你觉得你开始做这个解析茶馆和现在你对茶的这个了解有改变吗？你现在茶的那个认可的变化是什么样子的？ So I'm asking, how has her thoughts or understanding about tea changed between when she joined the team and now?
Yeah. I joined Jesse's Tea House. So I learn more tea knowledge because I'm a Chinese, but I'm not used to drink the tea because how to say that? Because in my hometown we don't product tea in my hometown. So I drink tea from I joined the Jesse's Tea House.
Very cool. So we kind of brought you to tea.
Yeah.
Very cool. 而且英语说得很好 very good English. So 下一个问题我就问的就是你现在就来了几次云南呢？就是看爱杰，看我们杰哥，我们的供货商。你觉得真的去茶山 他对你的对解析茶馆的这个看法和感觉有没有产生什么样的变化？So like how did going to the Tea Mountains and meeting Sister I and Jie our orange guy, and all of our people, Alex and Fujian with our porcelain, how has this changed the way that you think about tea and tea things?
我觉得，首先以前我觉得茶它只是一种饮品，但是更多的现在加入杰西茶馆之后再去喝茶，你会发现每一个供应商的茶都带有它自己的特点。比如说爱泽的茶，它就是非常的温柔的这种感觉，就是整体的有他个人的风格在茶里面。比如说对的茶，它的茶经常就是给人很强烈的这种冲击感，跟他的个人个性也比较相似。所以我觉得这些茶它带有他们的个人特色，这也是这些茶有独特的地方。其次就是像杰哥，他真的是非常非常认真的去帮我们去处理这个小青柑的农残问题，对，保证我们可以真的去上线到国外去。
Yeah. So she says, even though tea is a drink, it winds up kind of taking on the personality of the different people that make it. So Sister I's tea is very like calm and smooth, and Dui Dui's teas are very strong and punchy and kind of like the guy himself, just very high energy. And Jie our tea orange guy, who, by the way, our tea oranges are coming out in February as our launch month. It's probably going to be around mid to late February. We'll send you info. But our tea orange guy was very diligent in making sure that we solved all of the pesticide problems. We had so many problems with that the China team had to work through. They had pesticide from another field that blew on the wind onto our non-pesticide oranges, and we had to completely change the entire batch of oranges because of the wind. Like all sorts of problems that we did in order to make sure that we have the best health standards out there, I think, on the Gongfu market. So very, very cool. Thank you, Junxi. So 那你觉得这个解析茶馆的未来你有什么想法？因为你正在帮我们做新的产品研发，你最期待的是什么样的产品？ So I'm asking, what about the future? Because Junxi is helping with our new product development now. Like, what do you see in the future of Jesse's Tea House?
我肯定是更希望有，因为中国的茶它非常非常的多，我肯定是希望我们去进行一个筛选，把更好的茶品味更加特别的茶带给我们的朋友们去喝。其次就是我觉得作为中国文化交流到外国，以及杰西把外国的一些风格特点又带给我们中国的茶人茶友们，这样子一个文化交流可能会让我们的茶产生一些新的碰撞，或许会有一些新的这种茶的饮品或茶的类型产生。
Yeah, very cool. So she was saying it's exciting because China, there's so many different types of tea that are out there, and so she feels we can do a really valuable job for people outside of China by helping you guys sort through all the options, pick out the good ones, find the really unique tastes, and find a way to get that over to you guys. So 我们有没有什么这个我们的朋友有没有什么问题要问Junxi? Does anybody in the chat have any questions that you want to ask Junxi about our logistics, purchasing, new product development, or anything like that? We'll maybe leave a little bit of time here for the Q&A. But I just want to say to Junxi, in the meantime, thank you so much for your work over the last couple of years. We produce so many things. Like, we make so many products, and I think that's very unusual for a company to make so many individual things, and the boxes all have to be made, and the paper inside, and all of the details, the barcodes, like all of these things need to be done very carefully. So I want to thank you for that. 就非常感谢你这个对我们的这个功劳和努力，就因为我们产生的产品的类别特别多所以我们这个就非常感谢你的帮助。我们有几个问题也是Catherine Knuckles Wild says, what was your favorite creative new product idea from last year? 所以去年的新产品你觉得最喜欢的是哪一个？
去年的新产品 让我想一下，我们去年上了很多新的产品。
She's like, oh, we did a lot, so I got to think about it.
Let me see, maybe, I think, maybe the, 爱洁妻子桶
Yeah.
妻子桶 is a very sorry 妻子桶真的是非常有挑战，因为它在一个桶里面含了7款产品，对于我们来说，整个一个产品必须会变得非常非常的复杂。
Yeah, so she said it was probably the most interesting was the Sister Eyes mini tones, which was a huge challenge for the China team because that's 7 products inside of one little thing, and they all have to be wrapped and make sure the right amount of discs are in each one. 所以这个妻子桶，对，
而且它的包装全部都是手工的。
Yeah, and all of the packaging for those are done by hand, so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for everybody to do that. But I think that people like them. I mean, we sold out of them very, very fast. 我们卖光了，很快就卖光了。感觉是很多的时间的投入，然后一下子就卖光，它也是一个好事儿，但是还是这个确实是带来了很多的这个挑战。It was definitely, I was saying it's definitely a challenge that we took on to make all those mini tones, and we sold them out almost immediately. So we're still restocking. So everybody who's wondering whether those are coming back, they will be coming back for sure. But it's very, very cool. The packaging was amazing. People are thinking, oh, it was done by hand. Actually, Victor, can you get me one of the mini tones back there? The xiao tong on the right. See the down left hand. Yep, right there. No, to the right. The mini tong, the xiao tong, the little bamboo covered thing. Yes, there we go. But these, for people who don't know, these are the mini tongs. They've got our logo on them. They're all hand wrapped and hand tied. And it's a mini version of the way that tea was traditionally packaged in Yunnan. 所以这个是云南这个传统包法，对不对？只不过我们做的小一点。
对，这个是这个普洱茶的一个传统包法。
Yeah, so she's saying this is the traditional way pu'er tea was packed. So very, very, very cool. 然后君熙，你有没有什么要跟我们那个粉丝分享？有没有什么话要跟他们说？ Do you have anything that you want to share to our followers, our tea friends over in outside of China?
我会希望说，大家可以给到我们更多的一个反馈，比如说更喜欢什么样的类型的茶，或者是更喜欢什么样类型的茶具，我们会尽力的去有更多的一个新品研发的方向，也会更加的希望跟大家有更多的连接吧。
So she's saying just thank you to everybody, and then she's always looking forward to more feedback. What types of teas do you like? What types of products do you like? Sizes, all of these different things, because we're always trying to do a balance. I mean, this is me speaking now, but from my perspective, I'm always trying to do a balance of listening to you guys and making sure we give you what you want, while also realizing like, hey, I might see something that you don't even know exists, and I want to bring that in. Like, nobody would have asked for the mini tones, but we did know that you guys wanted to have ways of trying more types of tea while spending less money, so that you could find the ones that you want and then make it easier to be able to get those. So we always try to bring this together into new product development. And I just feel like it's still a little bit of my time as a comedian. It's like, if you just do the old jokes over and over and over again, that's not as interesting. You want to come up with new jokes. So 我就说我们一直不断的研发新产品，它有点那个喜剧和脱口秀的这个基因在里面，因为如果你就总是说老段子，也没有说新段子，那这个创作的精神就没了。所以我觉得我们作为一个公司一样，我们也得准备一下这个新的产品，这样一来我们是可以做到更好的。Very good. So great. So we're about to go. 我们这个时间差不多了，但是你帮我们选一些这个要捐那个赠品的一些朋友。所以我们这样一来，我们是 我们会让他们都发一个表情包，然后你选一下你喜欢的表情包，好不好？All right, so we're about to finish up our talk with Junxi, but we want to do 2 more giveaways for 2 more T-Pets. So what we're going to do here is that I want everybody to type in an emoji, any emoji they want, and then Junxi, you pick the emoji you like, and then we'll give a T giveaway to those people. So pick your emoji. Everybody send in an emoji. Here we go. 有没有看到喜欢的吗？
有个蓝色的 ，Let me see, KIPP.
Okay. KIPP 14, Kip 14 on YouTube, and then pick one more.
And Chris Wolf 2857.
Chris Wolf 2857. Awesome. So you guys will also get some T-Pets. Thank you so much to Junxi. 非常感谢 Junxi， 然后这个非常感谢大家的时间。Thank you all so much for watching， 而且非常感谢 Junxi 还熬得那么晚，就跟我们跟我们的粉丝交流。So thank you again, and give Junxi another hand because she stayed up until like 1 a.m. or something like that in order to come on this live stream with everybody in chat. So thank you so much to Junxi， 非常感谢你可以去睡了，你睡觉吧。All right, very good. Thank you so much. Junxi can head out. So thank you everybody for watching. We're going to keep going right on. We have our next guest, Gerard. Is Gerard ready? We can get Gerard into the studio. And welcome, Gerard. Hey. Good.
Hey guys.
So Gerard is essentially our like tech and website manager. How would you define your job? You kind of do, you're kind of the Swiss Army knife of the company, I feel.
Yeah, I think to put it simply, I could just call myself the IT guy on the company. I'm kind of like the go-to guy for any like technical difficulty, any help needed from the team. I'd be happy to offer my hand, whatever it is. So yeah, Jess is kind of right, Swiss knife kind of guy.
Yeah,
and
so
I'm happy
great.
to be of help. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So Gerard is based in the Philippines, and what did you think when we got in touch with you and we're like, we need somebody to do IT, we need somebody to? I think originally it was set up the TikTok shop. Like, what did you think about working for a tea company when we first got in touch with you?
Yeah, was actually quite surprised because yes, what Jesse mentioned, I was originally hired to be just a TikTok shop manager. It just so happened that I have some experience with TikTok shop as well, but mainly before I do manage like Shopify e-commerce businesses as well. But since I pretty badly need a job by that time, was just lucky that I met Jesse. And I grabbed the job. Wasn't expecting to have this kind of role right now, but I'm just so happy with the growth I have in this team. And I even consider this as my dream job, actually. I'm happy doing my job. And actually, Jesse's kind of worried sometimes because maybe I might be too much busy as of the moment. But nah, I'm just happy to offer help.
I'm always a little bit worried about Gerard because every time I go to Gerard, I say, hey, I have another thing to give you. Let me know if it's too much because, I'm always juggling all these balls. And so I throw another ball over to Gerard, but Gerard is always managing 20 different things at once. And, Gerard does everything from helping, like when we have new products, he'll make the Shopify page to put them up. So I'll write the text of the Shopify page, but making sure that the thing is up and all the SKUs are linked and our Shopify is talking to our 4 different warehouses. And a lot of that work is Gerard. So if anybody ever wonders, Gerard helped us with our new website design. We have 4 different warehouses, and if it'll tell where you are in the world and redirect you to the website of that warehouse so that you see the options that are available to you locally. A lot of that work was Gerard. So I want to thank you so much for that because it's a lot of complicated stuff that you've helped out with. So what was it like? What was it like kind of getting a chance to go to China? Because you also came to China along with your wife, Maria. You both got to go and visit all of our tea people. What was it like coming on the team?
Yeah, that's actually the most awesome experience we've had as a couple. Because to tell you frankly, that's the first time we went internationally. It's the first international trip, and it was straight ahead to China. Like,
Yeah,
this-
you didn't take a. we went immediately into the Chinese countryside.
yeah, like we're pretty excited because when you announce we don't have our passports yet, and so we immediately process our passport. We're just that excited, and yep, I was so happy that I have my wife with me during that trip, and she get to know the team. She's so happy as well. It's like we dated in China for the first time, and yeah, the warmth from the team, the experience, and having the tea experience in China itself, that's so extraordinary for us actually.
Yeah. What did you learn when you were in China about tea that was surprising or interesting to you?
I think the preparation of the tea is quite different. Way back, I don't have any experience with tea. I just heard like it was just from my parents. They're just enjoying the tea bags and stuff. But seeing you at the videos before we went to China, doing that kind of stuff and preparing tea, steeping. But having it experienced personally, along with the OGs, you know, with Dui Dui, Sister Eyes, they have different vibes, but the experience you have during the tea party or sharing it with your friends is definitely awesome. You feel different emotions, but what I generally feel from my end is how you enjoy, you take time drinking the tea, smelling the cup. It was everything, and I'm so happy that you have introduced this to us, both for me and for my wife.
It's super fun. It's one of the things I think hasn't been a plan of mine, but we've kind of brought on a combination of people like, say, Angel, who's really into tea, and she was into tea before she joined the company, and then other people like you that had no tea background. But it's kind of been a goal of mine to make sure that everybody in the company, whether they're doing IT or customer service or, you know, finance, whoever they are, gets a chance to learn about the tea and become kind of a tea person. And I just feel like it's going to be better for our tea company, for everybody to be into tea. So I've been kind of, slowly trying to get everybody over there. Also, I believe you took back like 3 years worth of tea from that trip, right? So you have you have a lot of tea that you took back from there. Of the tea that you take back, what do you find yourself drinking most often?
I think the Gongmei white tea ball. I'm drinking it right now, actually, and that's the last tea ball. I gotta be I need to order back again. But aside from that, I think the one from Sister I as well. The one that she gave us like a bunch of it. That's one of the best red tea that I have. And both me and my wife enjoy the taste of that. It's just sweet. There's a honey touch aroma with it. And that's the two of our favorite teas so far.
I have a question I want to ask you. It's not quite tea related, but it's about one very specific moment of the China trip. Is when we were in Sichuan Bana with Dui Dui. We were on that restaurant on the roof where you could see the whole city. And Dui Dui started pouring you this drink. This was this clear liquid, which we had never tried before, and it was Baijiu. And we were trying to tell Gerard, like, oh, this is Baijiu. This is like 60% alcohol. But before we could tell you what it was, like a true hero, you just took and drank the entire thing without any explanation of what it was in the cup. And we've turned it into like a GIF that we have in our like a reaction sticker in WeChat of you going like, like, oh. So the question is, what was going through your mind in that moment where you drank the Baijiu for the first time and not knowing what was in the cup?
Yeah, I can smell from the cup how strong that is. I don't know what percentage of alcohol was in it, but I can pretty say that oh, this is pretty strong for sure. But here in Philippines, whatever you put in a cup, in a shot glass, you need to drink it all. So that's just what I did, and it like shook me. Like I can't understand what's the feeling, but yeah, it just come through, man. But it went smoothly though down my throat. But yeah, and I went drunk. I'm kind of tipsy right after that, but that's just awesome.
Yeah, that's also part of the challenge. Is Doi Doi always drinks a lot of baijiu. Do you remember on the last day? I believe he brought that giant bottle of baijiu.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, it was like this big. It was like this big of a bottle of baijiu. Brought it to everybody for the last meal that we had together there. So that's great. So what I guess getting back to the tea stuff. I mean, what do you feel has been like the biggest improvement in the tea house since when you joined to where we are now? Like, where do you feel like we've made the biggest improvement?
I think it's when we expanded. I think that's the biggest improvement from just having one warehouse in US when we expanded in EU, UK, and then Canada. And the timing for that as well during the trade war. That's just like having a safety net just in case. But I can say that it's the biggest improvement because that's the biggest project that I've got as well. A lot of time I poured into it. But I can see the success in that. We're still in the process, but I'm positive that we'll make it through it for sure.
Yeah. So we had so for people who don't know or may not know, we've done a lot of work over the last 2 years really to open up new warehouses. We have one in Canada in Vancouver. We have one in the UK outside of London, and we have one in the Netherlands outside of Amsterdam that services all of the EU, and of course our warehouse in the States. And you know, this was one of the big things why I brought all the tea over to America when we were starting was because I was just thinking as a tea guy, my experience of having tea, like I know Doi Doi, I know Sister I want the tea, I get to go to the mountain, I get to drink it. Most people are not going to be able to do that, but at least we can ship it to them fast. That was what I was thinking. And so, you know, we do things very differently. We're not drop shipping anything. We import everything. We actually import it. And so there's also a lot of work on the back end of making sure that the different warehouses are linked up. And Gerard also helps us manage the software that helps us predict how much stuff we need. As much as we are occasionally out of stock of stuff, I will stand up for Gerard here and say he's doing a very good job of it. It's just very difficult to know how much stuff we're going to need. And if we buy too much of it, then, you know, it could be sitting there for a long time. And so it's always this delicate balance. And so I actually think that Gerard has done a great job. All of the sort of technical elements behind the scene, I think are in really good shape. And really the problem is like the customs at these different countries giving us problems. It's not the technology part of it. So Gerard's definitely done his job well. Is there any question that anybody in the group would like to ask Gerard about the website, about how we do our running the linkages between the warehouses, how we do kind of the tech of the company? If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them there. People are saying great tea made easy. Says for people who don't know, importing from China is not easy. No, it is not. But that was one of the things I knew originally, because when I was thinking in the very early days of the tea house, like, well, I want to get my tea over. And then when I realized I want to get my tea as opposed to like some wholesaler that already had the tea in the US, like it was like 20 times harder to get my tea over. Like it was so difficult. Questions over here. When did he join the team? Yeah, we should have told you that. When did you join the team?
I think I joined around December of 2023. So like I'm more than 2 years, I guess. Yeah. Around
October of 2023, we all of a sudden
October.
It could have been right around there, because in October of 2023, after making YouTube videos for years with no followers, we went from like 2,000 followers on YouTube to 150,000 within like a couple months, and we got a ton of sales. And everything was just like, the company was like falling apart because we could not figure out, we couldn't deal with it. And so we kind of rushed in. We're like, who can we get? And we found Gerard. We brought in Gerard. We brought on Junsi CC, who we just did the interview with. We brought on Alex, who's Claire, who's unfortunately not able to be on this call because it's 2 a.m. in China and she has a baby. And Alex also has the same baby, same couple. But Alex joined at the same time. And it was really kind of a hectic moment. What was it like joining in the middle of that hectic moment? Did it feel hectic? It felt hectic to me. I don't know if it felt that way to you.
I can't say that it's that hectic yet because I'm just managing TikTok Shop. My goal there is just to be able to push through TikTok Shop because we're not selling yet in TikTok Shop by the time that I joined. And I'm pushing through the requirements in TikTok, the certification and stuff. I think that's my ultimate goal by that time. And then slowly climbing up the ladder and, hey, you can throw more things at me. I'm happy to work on Shopify and, and I'm just happy that I think I gained your trust somehow. And I got this role on what I'm currently doing right now. It's just the best.
That's great. Well, I want to thank you, Gerard, so much for your time. Also, thank you, like our other Asia staff, for waiting up until like 2 a.m. or something like that. I don't know what time it is in the Philippines right now, but it's late. So thank you for staying up late to join the call with everybody. We're about to switch off. We want to have everybody in the chat comment hashtag JTH5YA. So Jesse Seahell's 5-year anniversary. Comment JTH5YA for the giveaway entry, and we will pick the winner using the Stream app. So we're able to use the Stream app to be able to pick the winners. So comment JTH5YA, JTH5YA, and we're going to start giving away some teas. So very, very cool. JTH5YA, JTH5YA. And then I'm going to wait for a word from Victor about, do we have the winners that we can pick right now? Yeah. Give it just a moment for everybody to get in and do it. Do you want to go to Marissa and we'll announce the giveaway after?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do that. We'll have that going in just one moment. But I want to thank you, Gerard. Is there anything last things you want to say to our to the followers? Because you're kind of in a backstage role in the company. You don't get on the camera that much. So anything you want to say to our T friends over on the internet?
I think from my standpoint, I just want to thank all the comments from the followers. I've noticed some messages in terms of concerns and user experience. Any concerns that you still have, feel free to email us, and I'll be happy to resolve them as soon as possible.
That's good. Yeah. Thank you so much. And Gerard has already done a lot of work for helping the user experience. But as I know, we always can get better. And I like this about the way we run things. We're always trying to figure out a way to make it better, even if it's a small thing. I'll very regularly go on and tell Gerard, like, oh, there's a customer sent me a screenshot of an issue with one item copy, or there's this weird, like the picture doesn't match the thing or something like that. There'll be some very minor thing on the website. And Gerard fixes a lot of those small problems in addition to the big problems of linking up one website to go to different IP addresses to be able to create different warehouse connections. So Gerard's been fantastic. You've done an amazing job. I'm very glad to have you on the team, and I'm glad that you and Maria were able to come to China. And if we keep growing, maybe we'll be able to do another China trip sometime. It would be a lot of fun.
Yay! Looking forward for it, for sure.
Thank you so much, Gerard. We are ready now for our next guest, Marissa. Welcome on, Marissa.
Hello.
So Marissa is my assistant. She also, I think, what did we say your job title was? Special projects or something like that?
Special, putting out fires, firefighter, perhaps.
Firefighter. Like just basically, again, maybe this says something about the way I think about things. I tend to have a lot of these like Swiss Army knife people in the company.
Yes.
Who can help with a little bit of everything. Marissa spent, I think, 14 years in Beijing. How many years?
15.
15 years in Beijing. We were in Beijing at the same time. We didn't know each other that well when we were there.
No.
I had heard about you because you worked for a company called the Hutong, which is like a cultural exchange kind of, how would you describe the Hutong? Hutong was a
I worked on this spiel for a long time. So the Hutong is like a culture, culinary, and outdoor education, like experiential education company. So if you want to experience Chinese culture, we have several ways.
Yeah. And so, as you might be able to guess, somebody who came highly recommended who worked for a company like that, and you had recently moved back to the US and were looking for a job. And I had several of my friends, when I said, hey, I'm looking for a personal assistant, they were like, you got to call Marissa. You got to call Marissa. And I think it's worked out. I mean, what's it like being my personal assistant?
I think, I enjoy it because I knew, like Jesse said, we knew each other very peripherally while we were in Beijing. But I would say that I knew of you, but we weren't like friends. I think now, and now to go to now, which is like, wow, I feel like sometimes we share a brain, which is disconcerting in a few ways. I also think one of my favorite parts is like the mistaken identity we get as a pair. AAA thought that we were married. Not true.
I asked Marissa to help. I was like, I need to renew my AAA auto, stuff. And so she called in and they just assumed that we were married. And so
and it was costing you money. We had to like take me off the account. It's crazy. And then one of our own team members actually went right after she first joined. She joined after me on the media team, thought that we were brother and sister and I was your older sister. And that's my favorite actually, because that kind of mimics some of our working relationship is like a little like sibling without the baggage of having grown up together,
No, it's been really great. I mean, I'm expecting I'm like almost everybody in the world, and that I had never had an assistant before, and I wasn't exactly sure what it'd be like. It felt like a risky thing for me because it's one of these things where like, you're living in America, you're living in New York, you have like a real American salary. And this was like, 3 years ago, this company didn't exist. So I was like, can we do this? But I really think that, you've been such an amazing help of keeping me organized and keeping the company running. And I'm able to do a lot of stuff. Like I'm about to go on a book tour. And
shameless plug.
While I'm not only did you help me set up the book tour, but I feel very confident, like I can take like 2 weeks where I have the company a little bit in the back of my mind because you're so knowledgeable now about so many different aspects of the company, from not only our team, but like all of the processes involved in the importing and the exporting. You're working to help us out with the official FDA training that we need to do in order to import the tea properly, and just so much stuff. So I guess, what would you say, like, what's an average day like for you kind of working with me?
I would say an average day, Jesse is kind of the boss who isn't, he's not going to come at you with a magnifying glass and make sure you're doing exactly as he says every moment of the day. There's a lot of freedom, of flexibility of schedule and how you want to structure your own time, which I really appreciate as a, full-grown adult. I really like that. But I would also say that my day is sort of spent like making sure that things are running, putting the people who need to talk to each other, putting them together. And then in the best way, I will always answer when Jesse calls because I know it's important. It's either going to be a really funny story, you're stressed about something, or you have an idea. What?
None of those three sound particularly important.
Well, but I know it's good. It's going to be something that's worth my time, and also, or there's like, oh, there's this idea I have. Am I crazy or no? Is this a crazy idea? What do you think? And I think, that's something that I really like, is being included on the future of our company. Basically, is like, what do you think? Is this a good idea? Is this a good direction? And a lot of times we agree and sometimes we don't, and that's fine.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Like, I really feel like, even though the tea company has gotten bigger than I expected, I still kind of try to run it like a comedian in some ways. Like I want to have a mic. Like I don't want to do something with the company and set us in a direction without checking with the audience, you know?
Right.
And so I think like it's part of the way that we run things, and you've seen it as well. We have every Wednesday, we have a meeting where the entire team joins in from all around the world to go through all the issues. And I feel like I'm probably more likely to ask everybody what they think we should do than to just say what we're doing.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I've made many a Google form that asks everybody's opinion and, you know, why they think a certain thing. And we take a lot of our, not just from, and you make a lot of Instagram polls as well for, hey, everybody, what kind of product do you want? Do you like this or this? And yeah, just trying to get like, what do the people want and what's good for our company and our staff, like our team. Is this good for us? Yes or no? What kind of stress is this going to put on you and your team? And I think that's very important.
Yeah, because I think like it's funny, like my dad is old school, and my dad is like, have you ever done any like, you know, surveys of your customers? And I'm like, well, we have so many surveys. Like every video I make is kind of a survey. If people like the tea, they comment on the video. So I mean, your comments, everybody watching, are incredibly helpful. Like, you know, this is something that very few brands have, that we have like people, we have 200 people on this call, like that are like, you know, by being your tea guy, like, you know, I can be a better tea guy to you because you guys let us know what you think. And then when we have your opinions, we have Marissa's opinions, we have the opinions of the team, and we have my opinions. If all four of those things are running in the same direction, I feel like it makes it easier for all of us to run the tea company, because it's like we might all be wrong, but it's unlikely we're all completely wrong, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So like we might mess up the scale of something in both ways. Like we thought people would really like the tea resins. We had no idea that we'd have such trouble keeping them in stock because they're selling so quickly. And we also had like, you know, we also thought it would be difficult to open in the EU and UK, and we had no idea how difficult it was going to be to open in UK.
I try to block it out a little bit in my normal.
It's kind of funny. Like I really like this. I mean, we're living in an era right now where it feels like borders are closing, and it's getting harder to like live in the world. You got to be in your own small place, and so I really like the fact that we have customers from all over the world. And like, even though it's really annoying to deal with the British customs and they destroy my tea every now and then because somebody wrote the wrong word on a paper, like it feels like the right thing to do. And like, would you say that overall you like the challenge that we've taken on from trying to go out into the world, as opposed to simplifying everything and just like having it be tighter and smaller?
Yeah, I would say I fully support it, because the idea behind it was not for us to make more money. It was to make it easier for our customers and save them hassle, save them, in Chinese you say mafan, like trouble, save them the trouble of doing it. We're going to take on the trouble, the taxes, the whatever. But that was our goal. And I think that's the main reason why I think it was a good idea. Has it been stressful? Well, yes. And we've learned a lot. Like, okay, how do we split this? And, this is how unexpected. We opened our EU website and when our warehouse was full. Immediately, 15 minutes later, we had to close it down because there was some issue we didn't even expect. And then we were like, okay, never mind. Let's wait a few hours and then we'll do it again. So
and that opening was like 14 months in the process too. And immediately.
And we finally hit go live, and then we got some really good feedback actually from a customer telling us that we were displaying something that was possibly going to cause us trouble. And we were like, oh, never mind, shut it down. Figure
it out. But yeah, because my thinking was always, and it's part of the reason I love making these internet videos, and as much as I would love an in-person tea house, and we might get there one day, like we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to have a live stream with people from all over the world joining in with you. You're based in New York. I'm based in LA. Gerard is in the Philippines. Cece is in China. Like, you know, we wouldn't be able to have the mission and kind of share tea globally in the way that we want to if we just had an in-person store. So one day I would love the in-person store though. But we'll see where it goes.
That'd be fun.
But it definitely is part of the mission. I mean, what would you say is the most fun and the most challenging thing about being my assistant?
About being your assistant, I would say the most challenging part is probably there are just questions that we have to tackle or situations we have to tackle that there is no clear answer.
Hmm.
There's really, or we just don't know enough. And I
Yeah.
think the most challenging part is just trying to make decisions with the best that we can, with the information that we have, and hopefully it's okay. And we are very thorough. We do a lot of research, and I also think that I do have the comfort of knowing that because Jesse, you are very much of like a group mentality. I know that you'll make a decision based on what's best for everyone, not just what's best for one aspect or one person or yourself. So that's comforting. Probably the most fun is, I think just being a part of just the sort of like I describe your brain as like a lot of Google Chrome tabs all going at once with like ideas and different subjects and different aspects of the company. There's also the comedy and the media, just all things that you're thinking about strategically at one time. My brain is actually quite similar, although it tends toward like, cooking and knitting and all my other hobbies and what kind of, how can I rearrange my couch so that it's more spacious in my living room? But it's just like a very rich place that I get to visit, and we get to talk through a lot of ideas. And wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And I really like being on the forefront of that. I think my favorite was when we first talked about how should we give a bonus. This was in 2024, near the end, and you were saying, how should we do bonuses for 2025? Do you think people would like a trip to China or the monetary equivalent?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I think either we could give them a choice, but let's think about what's really important. Is it important for our team to meet each other, spend time together? The thing that lasts longest in human memory is a shared experience. And I think this would be one that would last a lifetime, make some lifelong friendships, etc. And just the fact that we made that decision, and then your comment was, I think it's important that we're together. Like, that's the most important thing to me. And I said, I completely agree. This is exactly what I get behind. It's what I used to do for a living, give people shared experiences, and then therefore get them myself. And so I just thought, okay, this is exactly how I want to be working. This is like so fun. And I can't believe that I get to go back to my favorite country and spend time there with people that are my new friends. It was great.
That's great. Well, it's super. I mean, I'm super glad to have you, and I put a lot on Marissa. I mean, I'm kind of, I remember when you first joined, I'm like, how should I figure out what I talk to you about and what I don't, like, and my take on it was kind of, as you kind of said, being a second brain. It's the tea company has turned into this really like it's a complicated thing. Like, I think in the beginning I was thinking like, well, we get the tea, we send it to them, but there's a lot of tech systems that are involved and shipping rules and registrations, and Marissa needs to know, like, where is the scanned copy of our Chinese business license, and like, and if she doesn't have it, who do I call to get the scanned copy of our business license so that we can do this and that? And it's been incredibly helpful to have someone like Marissa on the team, who not only is able to do that, but we didn't talk about it, but the soul of our company is really improv people. You did improv.
Yes, I did.
Years. I've done 15 years of improv comedy. You've done a lot of years of improv as well. Yeah. Jay on the team was in improv. Claire, the China head team, China lead, who would be here if she didn't have a baby and it was 3 a.m. wherever she is. Mm-hmm. So like, there's definitely an improv gene in the company. And would you say that makes it easier to work with each other because we're all just trying to yes and each other as we do stuff?
I definitely think it makes for outside the box thinking. I think that there are some ideas and things that we do that would not have come from a corporate brain. They definitely came from an improv comedian sort of background. I do think though too that it makes people, you know, life is complicated. There's so many things that are unexpected, and sometimes you just have to listen and respond to what's happening. And that's a lot of what improv is. You listen to your scene partner, what they're saying, how the things that they're giving to you, and then you respond in kind and affirm them. And I think that that's kind of how we work as well. It's, you know, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Okay, I'm hearing you. How do I help? Here's what I have to offer. And you know, that's a very sort of highbrow way to talk about just helping each other out with problems. But also celebrating. I think too, there's, you know, when Claire and Alex, we found out they were pregnant, we were all just so excited about it. Somebody has a birthday, like I just had a birthday last week, and I got so many messages from our team. You know, we're really kind of, we have each other's backs, and I really feel that. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, at the core of it, it's like, what's the point of running a tea company if we're not enjoying ourselves? You know, like
exactly.
So I think it's been really great to have you. Is there anything else you want to share with the crowd before we head on to the next section?
I would just say that same as Gerard, I sort of came back from China, wasn't sure what I was going to do, and then I thought, what job am I going to even find, and what's going to happen to me? I'm not really sure. And someone asked me at the beginning of my time at Jesse's Tea House, is this your dream job? I said, I don't know. Like, I just started, it's been 1 week. And then fast forward about 1 year, and I'm sitting at Sister Eye's beautiful courtyard, sipping tea, looking out onto the mountains. Yeah. And I think, I think this is my dream job. Oh, right. It just kind of, I reflected on it, and I thought, wow, this is my actual dream. This is so great. Yeah.
It's great. No, well, I'm very glad to have you. I think the whole company is glad to have you. Marissa's also been the main point of contact for a lot of people in earlier days in the company when it was like 3 or 4 people, then they might come straight to me. Now at around 12 people or so, some of that goes straight to her, and she's able to do a lot of work and being able to get all of that information together and be kind of a nexus of what's going on in the company. And it's also like, as an American that lived in China for many, many years, I always felt like I also got stuck back in America, during COVID, and I kind of had a hard crash landing back into my own country. And I definitely feel like we have a little bit of a unique understanding of each other's situations, because we learned all this stuff in China that really feels very valuable. And I think the internet, even you guys as well, also find great value in it. But like, I could have called Lipton when I showed up, and they never would have given me a tea job. You know, right. I didn't have any way of getting into the tea scene in America, even with all of my experience. It's just that you go to a new place, and then you come back, and then the place you come back to, how do you fit in? You know, like, what is the way that you can use the skill and the knowledge and the things that you've learned? And if you go into just a company that's just a full-on normal American company, they're not even going to know how to use your skills, right? And so, you know, aside from any of the specific work, I feel like we're able to help each other out, because, you know, in an emergency, I feel like I'd be able to like get you a ticket to Beijing, and you can like take care of stuff in China. Yeah. And like, that's something that I don't think a lot of you know, people who are trying to run a small business have, is somebody that is able to do such a complicated task and go to China. And I'm like, if I need to send you to rural China in the mountains to lay down the law because one of our suppliers is not doing their health protocol right, like, they would go and they would listen to you, because you spoke in Chinese, and you're like, here's the rules. I did the FDA training, like, you know, like, you got to get it right. And so luckily
our suppliers would never
they would never, but you know, it lends a lot of safety and comfort to me to know that I have somebody like that on the team. So I want to thank you so much for your time and your energy and your skill in helping me out. So cheers. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Red Jade Here it is.
Nice. Taiwanese red jade. That's really good.
Really good. It's really good. So
Yeah.
what do you got? Are you still on the rose red?
On the rose red tea. The Taiwanese red jade is a little bit dangerous because if you get to drinking that every day, you wind up at a very high level of tea, and you're like, oh no, I can't drink that.
Yeah, I know. I've become such a snob. It's pretty bad, actually.
But that's the way that it works. So I want to thank you, Marissa, so much. And do we have our winners from the last stream picking? We're gonna draw right now. Okay, so we're gonna draw right now. Marissa, do you want to stay on for the draw?
Oh yeah, let's see. Let's see what we got.
All right. Victor. All right. How does this work? I'm looking over at Victor's screen over here. All right. Ready? All right. We're gonna draw. Ready? The first draw. Give me your computer. I'll show everybody. The first winner is me.
Oh my gosh.
Bring it all. Oh, I just want to make a tea. That's good. Pick again. I swear we didn't have that set up.
That's hilarious. Now, Jesse, you can't pick yourself.
I didn't tell people to comment this.
Yeah, so
And then-
that's hilarious.
Draw
Draw
again.
again. We hyped it all up, and I was like, yeah, we have a real process now. Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh.
The winner is winner is what is it? Caraselwa 5603. Congratulations. So you're gonna win a tea. I think we're gonna send maybe we'll figure out which tea you're being sent. We'll give you one of the red rose teas that I'm drinking right now. Let's go on. We'll do let's pick another one. Not me again. Congratulations.
You can pick me. That's fine. I'll take more tea.
Here we go. And it is our winner is Merkel. Congratulations, Merkel. So we'll get that down as well, and we'll send you a cake of tea. Maybe we'll send you one of the everyday raw pu'er cakes that we have. We'll figure out. We should have the giveaways done ahead of time, but we know that we have teas that we've given away now, and the next giveaway is going to be for the book. So this will be really exciting. So thank you so much, Marissa, for joining. Any last thing that you want to share with the followers?
Just, chayoha.
I'll good. Hello, tea friends. There we go. So very good. I'm going to reboil the water, and we'll do the book now. And thank you so much for Marissa for joining. So very, very cool. So this next section that we're going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a quick book reading from my book, and we'll give away a couple of copies of the book. So the book is called This Was Funnier in China. I basically been working on this book in one way or another for 15 years, basically, because the book is all about the stories about apprenticing to the master comedian Ding Guangquan that I studied with for 7-8 years in China. And then he passed away in 2018. And after that, I was really broken up because I had really moved to China to study with this man and to do comedy. And when he passed away, I was like, I need to write down the stories about my time studying with him and learning Chinese comedy and what I learned from about China from Chinese comedy, what I learned about myself, honestly. And a lot of the things, if you read the book, I think you'll kind of understand why I run the tea house the way that I do. This sort of Master Ding had a very unique sort of openness and acceptance to people of all cultures. He was the only traditional Chinese comedian, like the traditional comedy style person to take foreign disciples. And he changed my life, and he changed the lives of many, many people from around the world. So I'm very eager to be able to share a little bit about this with you guys. I'm going to read a sample chapter first about the traditional comedy style and what it's like. And I'll read another sample chapter, a little bit about Beijing and just what's going on. But the whole story here is starts in 2012 and I moved to China. And here, where is it? Tea House Crosstalk. I'm going to take you to read a chapter about what it's like seeing traditional comedy shows in a tea house. And that's really where the Chinese traditional comedy is performed. They call them chaguar or tea house. And here we go. Where is the chapter I want to read? I should have had this page. Here we are. So for those that you don't know, the traditional comedy style in China is called xiangsheng, which translates to crosstalk. And there's two people on stage. There's a joker and a straight man, and they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I'm going to take off this water because it's probably annoying you, the sound. There we go. And the place that they're performed are in tea houses. And so this is the writing of my first ever time going to a tea house and seeing a traditional Chinese comedy show. It's called Tea House Crosstalk. Come with me to my first xiangsheng show in Beijing. No, really, it'll be fun. Don't worry if you can't understand it. It's 2012, and I don't get much more than every third sentence myself. I'm seeing everything for the first time, too. Besides, everybody should go to at least one comedy show in a language they don't understand. It's an experience in straining your mind, looking for patterns you're only half certain exist, and coming away surprised at how much you got. Worst comes to worst, you're out 2 hours and $10. We enter the theater through a big red wooden door with giant gold handles. You hand over the ticket and walk through a doorway into a performance space with a high ceiling. Your eyes settle on a large stage, flanked by 4 giant pillars of painted wood, golden calligraphy cascading inside the framed rectangles embossed on each side of the face of each pillar. On the dais, there is a low, flat table covered by a decorated silk-stitched cloth that hangs over the edge. On the table, there is a folded fan and a small wooden block inlaid with silver. The show hasn't started yet, and the room is at a low thrum with the occasional punctuating shout. The overall atmosphere is one of relaxation. It's a Friday. Everybody has worked hard today. They've been looking forward to going to the show since lunchtime. Below the stage, there are rows upon rows of square wooden tables surrounded by straight-backed wooden chairs. We get ushered into the correctly priced section and are left to find our own seats. A small tray of snacks are on the table. Sunflower seeds, peanut crunchy things, an individually wrapped dried plum with the pit still inside. These are all free. A woman comes by with a pot of chrysanthemum tea, plops it on the table unceremoniously, and throws in a small plate of sugar, big crystals that look like rock candy. The tea costs $3. The lights go down. 2 men walk on stage in freshly pressed flowing robes, one blood red, the other pastel blue. They look like something out of an old-timey black and white movie about a bygone age. But the colors here are bright, and there are top-of-the-line Sennheiser speakers in the ceiling that blast sound down onto the audience. They bow. The audience applauds. The air shifts. Something about moving from the space of waiting for the funny to the funny is beginning feels primal and timeless. You get the feeling this has happened 10,000 times at places all over the country for years and years and years. One of the men takes the wooden block and smacks the table, and the sharp sound sets an opening tone. The show has begun. Then the patter begins. Classic xiangsheng is a 2-man routine, and the magic of the art is in the back and forth. The performers quickly get into a comfortable rhythm. They let the laughs breathe. A guy in the audience sneezes. They stop, point him out, and roast him for a few minutes. The guy starts out apologetic, then gains confidence and tries to bandy with the performers. He gets shut down again and again. The performers are too quick. The audience loves it. The guy's friends love it. He loves it. Then the show continues. Where were we? The pattern resumes. The guy behind us laughs loud, like way too loud. It's more of like an air horn than a laugh, and it comes in one staccato burst, like ha! A quick check over my shoulder reveals some slim dude of about 50 in a tan polo shirt. His janky yellowed teeth are on prominent display because he's laughing so much. His eyes locked on stage, he absentmindedly brings a sunflower seed to his face, working it around the mouth area like he's forgotten where the hole is. He breaks the shell with his teeth and spits it on the ground. Looking down, there's a carpet of seed shells on the ground now, like a snowfall, but covered in spit. I personally don't mind this at all. This is why I wear shoes. And the dude is having a good time. I'm having a good time. I almost feel like I'm having a special good time, a type of good time that most people from the hemisphere I was born have never experienced. It's only a silly comedy show, but it's more than that. If not for Xiangsheng, I never would have met Mr. Janky Tooth. And while I don't know what that's worth, I do know that nobody else I know can claim it. The opening duo does 15 minutes and then is replaced by a second duo that does half an hour. Then the headliners, who are apparently quite famous, come on, take their bow, smack the piece of wood, and go nonstop for 2 more hours. Bit after bit, culminating in a long monologue that receives thunderous applause. Happy and exhausted from laughing, the audience is very mellow. At the end of the show, I am a little less comfortable than before. This is because I didn't understand a goddamn thing. My Chinese training up until this point has been mainly in conversational Chinese, with specialties in ordering food and finding an apartment to rent. This has allowed me to make friends, order food, and rent an apartment where the electricity only intermittently cuts off. Apparently, I have not been trained to understand traditional Chinese comedy. I understood some of it, snippets, sentences. I gathered the main theme for one of the pieces involved a guy trying out for a singing competition and being god-awful at singing. But did I get it? No, not tonight. I feel a brief hiccup of anxiety. I've moved halfway across the world to do this comedy. I need to go from not getting it to performing it. The first encounter with classic Chinese crosstalk has prompted me to realize that to perform xiangsheng means knowing jokes within jokes, plays within plays. It means knowing history and loving history and being with other people who know and love history. It means inserting myself into that history, going on stage with a robe and smacking the wooden block and having my own reason to be in this space as a rando white dude from Boston. It means doing jokes that make 50-year-old men in tan polo shirts with bad teeth who I've never met laugh. I'm not sure I can do it. I think I can. But luckily, I get to study with a master. So that's a chapter from my book, This Was Funnier in China. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I'm happy to answer any questions people have about Chinese comedy. I think that might be even more effective than reading more from the book. I might read a little section further later, but we have questions already about the Chinese comedy. People said 2-hour set of improv, and it's not improv, it's scripted. It's kind of like a scripted dialogue. So one person will say something and they know the other person is going to reply a certain way, and they go back with the scripted dialogue. But if you're good at xiangsheng, and a lot of the people who do it professionally are good at xiangsheng, you learn how to be able to riff off and improvise within the structure. So I usually think of it as that the script is like the skeleton, and then the improv kind of is you go off of the skeleton and back to the skeleton, and off of the skeleton and back to the skeleton. And one of the other fun things is there's no fourth wall. So you refer to the audience. If you want to talk to the audience, you just talk to them. It's just like a stand-up show or something like that, where the audience is there. They're part of the show. It's super, super fun. So more questions over here. Walter Horn asks, is the crosstalk similar to the Abbott and Costello style of comedy? That's probably the closest direct analog that we have. I personally think that it's kind of like a technology thing. Like in the days before television or film, like how do you make people laugh? You've got to have a routine together. You've got to have a shtick. And so a lot of those old timey like vaudeville style stuff where you have two people back and forth. Who's on first? Yes. What? Yes. Who? What? Yeah. No. What's on second? That sort of thing just plays really well when you rehearse it and get it tight. And a lot of the early xiangsheng performers were probably pretty similar to the vaudeville performers that were doing Who's on First. So very, very cool. Question from Emre, how does it compare to American comedy? So I always think like people make jokes about what's real and what's true. And so if there's something where life in America and life in China are similar, then you're going to have similar jokes, but they're going to be different in the ways that life in America and life in China are different. So nowadays, if you go to a Chinese stand-up comedy show or a traditional show, you might hear people complaining about their boss. But what makes a bad boss? What makes a boss annoying? What makes a boss frustrating? What makes a boss good? And then you're the idiot. These questions are all cultural, and it depends on how they work, and it depends on how they wind up, expressing themselves on stage. So some of those jokes are going to be interesting, and then to everybody, and then some will only work in one place. Questions from Andre: are women equally interested in attending such shows? Yeah, there's a lot of women that like xiangsheng as well. I performed in a lot of theaters. I would say in many cases the audience was even mostly women. I think that there's a lot of women in the audience. Traditionally, there were no female xiangsheng performers, but my master's master, Hou Baolin, who was one of the biggest comedians of the last 200 years in China, was the first master to start to teach women to be disciples and xiangsheng performers. And nowadays there are women xiangsheng performers, and there's actually quite a few in Taiwan as well. If you go to Taiwan, there's some female xiangsheng performers as well. So even though I'd say there's still more male comedians than female comedians, there are female comedians as well. And now in the days of stand-up comedy, there's more and more female comedians. And I don't think it's quite up to half, but I'd say probably 30 to 40% of the stand-ups on the scene are female. And audience as well, a lot of women listen to stand-up and to xiangsheng as well. So very, very cool. So I think I'll do one more brief reading about Beijing, and then we'll go on to our final section of the live stream, which is our final giveaways, and then also just answering T questions from you guys. So we'll do one more reading about what it's like to be in Beijing. Here we go. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Here we go. All right, here we go. So this is my first time in Beijing. I was studying abroad, and this is my impression of the city of Beijing. Beijing is a hot, delicious, absurdist puzzle box of a city. Everything is simultaneously new and old, fast and slow, loud and unspoken. It was and still is an object of my perpetual fascination. I couldn't read the signs or understand what people were saying. Chinese pop music crooned out of every store, vehicles weaved in and out of the street in every direction, traffic lights appeared to be more suggestions than anything else. As a foreigner, I was sometimes the most interesting person in the room, sometimes completely ignored. I was always fully engaged, never fully comfortable. My second day, I visited the Forbidden City, the 800-year-old imperial palatial complex of otherworldly scale located in the exact geographic center of the city. Mile upon mile of flowing golden glazed ceramic roof tiles, 9,999 rooms built down the north-central axis of the city, a remnant of a dynastic age, a center of power. There was also a Starbucks in there, which was good because I had to use the bathroom and it was the only non-squat toilet around for miles. Beijing was a winding alleyways of brick laid down by Mongols that led to doors of garish dystopian pyramidal glass shopping malls built by nouveau riche tycoons. Beijing was fashionable women holding loud phone conversations on the street directly next to tables of shirtless old men squatting on tiny stools, drinking cheap and giant bottles of beer. Beijing was a bowl of cheap noodles in the morning and sumptuous Peking duck at night. It had a Great Wall and a tech hub, a Tibetan Lama temple across the street from a KFC. Living amongst these buildings that dated anywhere from 2,000 years to 2 weeks ago, I met the most eclectic collection of people imaginable, some of whom seemed to be the product of traits spit out of a video game's random character generator. I met a man on the street with a long beard and a giant plastic sack full of raw meat. He told me he had brought it from Kashgar, on the old Silk Road, and Beijing marked the end destination of a 3-month motorcycle trip he'd taken with friends. He'd kept his meat on ice in a styrofoam container affixed to the back of his Harley with pink plastic ribbons. I met a woman at a bar who sold medicinal dog water. The water was, she said, filled with trace minerals normally used in human hospitals as an intravenous solution for human patients with anemia. Her company was, she said, both proudly and anxiously, the only one in the world selling such a product to dogs. I think her pride came from the fact of being out on a forefront of a new market and the anxiety from the fact it was clearly doomed to failure. I recommended as a joke that they hire a famous celebrity's dog to serve as a spokesdog. She told me they had already tried that, but the dog's appearance fee was too high. It's not easy selling dog water, she sighed. Maybe I should go back to grad school. Beijing was real-life TikTok, a new scene every 7 seconds. It was a blaring loudspeaker announcement. It was a tender, quiet conversation. It was a 20-cent ice pop and a $10 coffee. It was sound and fury. It was lights, camera, and action. And every day, I stared down 100 new characters in my textbook. And every day, another test. Every day, no English allowed. A new part of my mind opened. Seeing a new language didn't split me into English Jesse and Chinese Jesse. Instead, I felt myself dilating like a droplet of water expanding over a new surface. And as I learned the language, a veil lifted off of my face of the city. It felt like passing through a waterfall and discovering a hidden world that had existed all this time, and finally I could see it. Learning the language and the culture unlocked stories and dramas playing out in plain sight. Every day, I would get a milk tea from a hole-in-the-wall street stall on my way back from class. The first time, I pointed at the pictures because I couldn't read the menu. But by the time I left, I could read the menu, and I could also talk to the tea vendor. She told me that this stall was part of a chain that a man from her village had started 10 years ago. She and all of her coworkers were from the same village, and they slept in bunks in the back of the shop. Actually, more than 100 branches of the original tea shop were staffed entirely by young people from that village looking for their first foothold in the big city. Did you like it here? I asked. No, I want to go home. But then I'd just be bored and want to come back. I could also read the now hiring sign on the side of the shop and its shameless promise of a $200 US a month salary in a city where my rent alone was $800. I assumed the low wages were not offset by stock options. I thought I had gone to China to learn Chinese. In the end, I learned some Chinese and 10,000 other things. And for every new thing I learned, I actually learned two things. The first was how they did it here in China. The second was how we did it back home in America. Sometimes things were the same. Sometimes they were different. Both seemed significant. We'll stop there. We've got to keep going. I don't want to reveal too much of the book. So I want to thank you all for listening. I hope it was interesting. I want to remind viewers to ask questions about the book, and we're going to pick out the 5 best questions to give books to. So let's pick out, let's send in questions. And I guess if I pick the question, that counts as picking the winner, right? So let's keep an eye on any questions about the book, Studying Chinese Comedy. This was funnier in China. It's available for pre-order. I have an audiobook too, where I read the entire book. It took 3 days. So I really encourage you guys to go on and do that. I mean, first-time author. It's being published by Avid Reader Press at Simon & Schuster. So I got like a real publisher. And unbelievable kind of like getting a chance to tell the story with everybody else. So let's pick a couple questions. Everybody feel free to put in any questions you have about the book or Chinese comedy into the chat. And I will take a look over here and see how it goes. Evan M says, I need to buy that. That's a great question. I like that comment. You get a book. It's Evan M 2755. So that's our first book giveaway. Thank you, Evan. You are right. You do need to buy the book, but you don't because I've given it to you. But you can buy one and give it to a friend. That's the way I would say it. Question from Amy Thomas Knag. When did you decide to write the book? I think I decided, I actually didn't know I was writing a book when I started it. As I said, Master Ding, the mentor that I studied with, passed away in 2018. And I had so many stories of learning from him and about Chinese comedy. And I decided, like, I just want to get these stories down. And then after I wrote all the stories, I realized, like, hey, if I rearrange these in chronological order and add a beginning and an ending, it kind of looks like a book. So that was in 2018. I wrote about 40,000 words, which is about half of a book. And I basically spent all the time between 2018 and 2025 when we actually sold the book. I spent like 7 years trying to get this book published and trying to figure out a way to do it. It was really it was a real struggle. Like nobody wanted to publish a book about China that was not very positive or very negative. The publishers told me books that love China and books that hate China both have audiences, but a book that's not loving or hating China has no audience. That's what they said. But I digress on that. So, questions. Hat Lane Gaming Canal asked, did spending time doing Chinese comedy lead? Wait, hold on, I'm making sure I don't miss it. Hat Lane Gaming Canal says, did spending time in Chinese comedy introduce you to new areas within Chinese tea when hanging out with Chinese comedians? I think that it actually, doing the traditional Chinese comedy did help me as a tea guy, but more because it's a traditional art form and tea is also a traditional art form. So when I went to meet with tea people and they're like, who are you? Are you just some hobbyist that likes tea? I'd say, well, in tea, yes, I'm a hobbyist and I'm just interested, but I'm an apprentice of Master Ding Guangquan. I do traditional xiangsheng. I spend my life sharing Chinese traditional comedy. And then all the tea people were very eager to talk to me. And they were like, oh, you're an artist. You're a culture person like I am. And so it was really useful in being able to get into the culture scene in China because I had a calling card where people knew my master. They knew my master's master. They knew that I was spending my time kind of helping share the culture. And I think that made them feel more safe in sharing a lot of the tea knowledge that I wound up learning. So very good question. Rav Berlater says, can you tell a story about your master that you learned from? Yes. So Master Ding, amazing man. I'll give you one of his secret tips about how to operate as a professional comedian. So we were doing a show and we were backstage and we're about to come on stage. And as a disciple, my job is to make sure that I carry his robe and I fold his robe and I bring his robe. And then if he needs help putting on the robe, I help put on the robe. And so we had arrived before the show. We went to his house. We picked up his stuff. I folded his robe. I put it in a bag and then I brought it to the venue. And then we're 5 minutes away from going on stage. And he's like, all right, let's get dressed. I put on my robe. He takes out his robe and he's angry. He's like, what did you do? I'm like, what did I do? It looks fine to me. But it turns out I had folded his robe wrong. There were creases all over it. There's apparently a special way to fold these long robes that you wear when you do the show. And I had folded his robe wrong. And he's like, okay, no problem. Put the robe on the table. So we lay out the robe on the table. And he's like, find some water. And I brought him some water. And then he takes this bottle of water, and he takes a step, and he goes, and vaporizes the water over the robe. And he's like, pull. And so I pull on one side of the robe, and he pulls on one side of the robe, and the creases go away. And then completely unironically, he then goes to me and says, nobody spits like that anymore. I'm like, ooh, that's a bar. I love it. He was just really professional. He had done comedy 50 years. He had apprenticed to one of the best comedians ever. He was a very open and accepting person. He had, I was from America. He had disciples from Canada and Cameroon and Germany and Japan and Rwanda and Vietnam. And we would show up to these rehearsals and it was this like, I call it in the book, I called it the funny UN. We were all there together and our common language was Chinese. And so I'd be speaking Chinese to the Canadians and the Vietnamese and the Rwandans. And we just all were brought together by the charisma of Master Ding. And, I think I was saying you can kind of see how I run the tea company. Like I love the idea of having people from everywhere in the world in this tea place. Also in my own country, like we have people from like Idaho that buy tea and show up to our tea things. And I've never been to Idaho and hopefully one day I get a chance to go. And it's, somebody growing up in Boston and now I live in Los Angeles. Like there are huge parts of my own country I haven't gotten to see and people I haven't gotten to meet. And I think adapting that kind of that openness and interest in other people and their cultures is something I learned. I think I had that before, but I really learned how to step it up a notch from Master Ding. So he was a very impressive man and it's worth reading about in the book. So we'll do a couple more comments. What was your favorite part in making a book from Eminem Music 12? Comment made at 11 a.m. So, it's interesting. I think, weirdly enough, the favorite part might have been recording the audiobook. I had a ton of fun recording the audiobook because writing the book is hard. You're worried about every sentence. You're worried about every paragraph. You're worried if it's linking together. You spend so much time on it. Like, I was either doing the stuff in the book or writing the book for like 15 years. You're in it. And it's hard to step back and just enjoy the book as a story. But when I did the audiobook, you just read the book from the beginning to the end and you try to make it fun, and all that work has already been done. Like, the sentences are as good as they're going to get. The paragraphs are as good as they're going to get. The chapters are in the order they're in. And I just got to read the whole book. And you can pre-order the audiobook as well. If you go to Simon & Schuster's website, you can pre-order it, or just search "This Was Funnier in China" audiobook. So there's I think the most fun part of writing the book was doing the audiobook. Actually, I was recording the audiobook and I was like, I kind of want to write a second book so I can record a second audiobook. It was just super fun. And then I'm going to be doing a book tour as well. I'm going to be at USC, University of Southern California, on the 4th of February. I'm going to be at the University of Richmond in Richmond, Virginia on the 6th. I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. at George Washington University on February 9th. I'm going to be in New York at the Asia Society on February 12th. And I'm probably going to be in at my high school, doing a show at my high school in Newton, Massachusetts on February 15th, although that one's still not 100% set yet. And then I may wind up doing other book events in February and March before I wind up going back to China in April. So if you're in any of those places, search Jesse Appel Book Tour Richmond or whatever your city is, and you should be able to find my stuff. So we'll do that. Very, very cool. What was your favorite moment performing in China as a comedian? From Grant Wazoo. That's a great question. I had so many great moments. I think maybe one of them, one of them might have been the opening day of my comedy club. So I talk about in the book as well, but I ran a comedy club. I rented a courtyard in Beijing. I converted it into a comedy club. I bought a janky stage that we all stood on that kind of looked like it was going to collapse at any moment. And Master Ding came to our premiere and performed Xiangsheng with me and played improv games with us, which was so fun because I've done so many improv games, and Master Ding had never done Western style improv before, but he was quick. He was playing. All my friends were there. We have this whole community that was not just the Chinese comedians, but all the expat comedians as well, the English language comedy scene, the Chinese language comedy scene, the traditional scene, the stand-up scene, the improv scene. We had a mime troupe perform because I was like, what can we do that will be good for both audiences? Because we had people that spoke some English and no Chinese. We had people that spoke Chinese and no English. I had a friend who was in a mime troupe and they came and performed. So just like this moment of bringing everybody together and seeing this is like, even now you can see I'm generally optimistic about the world because I've lived it. I've seen China and the rest of the world sit in the same theater, laughing at the same stuff, enjoying the same things. I've lived it. It's real for me. And it's like, it's why I get so pissed off when I see all this like low level fighting on the internet. It's like, come on guys, like let's get in a comedy show. Let's drink tea. It really isn't as hard as you think it is. You just need to be willing to do that sort of thing and drink tea and be willing to be open to other people. That's very good. And then how many people do we have left? One more or two more?
Let's do one more. This is a good question.
Yeah, what's the question that we have?
What was the inspiration for the design process of the book? Since my girlfriend's studying design and made a book.
Oh, so the question is, what is the inspiration for the design of the book? Since my girlfriend is studying design and made a book, I'm quite interested into the process. So the design of the cover of the book was actually done by the publisher. They hired artists to come up with a couple designs. And then this is the one we picked. I guess leave it in comment if you like the cover or not. I kind of like the cover. The other two were horrible. The other two were really, really bad. This one I thought was pretty good. But in terms of the design of what's in the book and the content, that's much harder because I feel like it's a little bit similar to comedy. There's this delicate balance in actually writing a book where you need to remember your audience. But also, if the audience feels like you're like, hey, let me give you what you want. Let me give you what you want. And there's no desire from you to share what's important for you, that you just totally give yourself over to writing what you think the audience wants, then you lose the direction as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. From a practical perspective, I was surprised as a first-time author how little having a 40,000 words of a manuscript mattered. I thought that if I had half the book written, that was important. It turns out it was completely unimportant. The publisher people only look at what they call a book proposal. And the book proposal was very, very important. When I wound up actually getting an agent and pitching the book to publishers, they spent all of their energy and my energy on the proposal. And the proposal was like, who I am, like a one-pager bio. Why did I write the book? Here's a writing sample. Here's all the chapters and a 1 paragraph to 2 paragraph description of what happens in each of the chapters. Here's all the media coverage I've had. Here's all the social media platform I have. Put all of that. Here's pictures. Put all of that together into a proposal and send it out to the publishers. And that was the only thing they looked at. None of the people, even Avid Reader Press at Simon & Schuster, who bought the book, they didn't even look at the 40,000 words I had written before they bought it. So it was a very interesting process. And, writing a book is difficult. It's hard. It's not an easy way to make money. I don't expect I'm going to make a lot of money from this, although it would be great if you guys bought the book. But it's really more like, I think it's important to write the book because, Master Ding and the traditional Chinese comedy, and as you guys know, all the people that I met in China, like I owe what I have in this tea house and everything else to the people who took me in, invited me into the culture, taught me the language, allowed me to live in another country, and treated me like a human being. And a lot of the good that I've been able to bring to you is thanks to the people who appear in this book. And so I felt it was a real shame that such an important thing in my life of this comedy world was just completely absent in the West. There was no English language writing about it. And then whatever writing was about it was mostly about censorship. So like, if anybody writes about Chinese comedy, they just immediately write about censorship, and then they do one joke, and then like the whole important world of the Chinese comedy was just not there. And so I felt like, and I do cover censorship in the book, and going through it and figuring it out is part of the, the story of Chinese comedy. But it's like, here it's like 90% of the story, and there it's like 1%. So it's like, I think it's important that, that these stories be shared and that Master Ding's work be appreciated outside of China. Within China, he's very famous and people know what he does. And, outside of China, he does have a Wikipedia page, but it's very short and not at all up to the respecting the work that he did. So being able to share his story was really what pushed me through to the final part. And is that 5? Next up. Okay. So that's all our books. Thank you so much. If you didn't win a free copy of the book, you should go and pre-order one and buy one when it comes out. It comes out on February 10th. And I'm just very excited to be able to do that. So we will now start just a tea Q&A. So if you've listened to 2 hours of the live stream and you're still here, thank you so much. If you're just new, you missed all the boring stuff. Now we're at the Q&A. And I apologize for 2 hours of largely ignoring the comment section to be able to do the content. And now we are done ignoring the comment section. I'm going to reboil my water. I'm going to get back to my tea. I encourage you all to drink your tea. And I'm happy to answer any question you want about anything you've seen or anything about tea going forward. And we'll do this for, I don't know, half an hour or something, 20 minutes. We'll just do this sort of stuff. So Calamity says, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing proper tea to the West without dressing it up in nonsense marketing. I appreciate that. That's actually one of the things I really wanted to do, is like kind of allow people to be in the tea scene in China a little bit without, we do, I mean, there is marketing involved. Like, I want you to like the name of the product and everything, but it's like, I want to do it in a way that is not like, I feel like a lot of the Chinese companies that try to do tea, they overdo it. They try to localize all the interesting stuff out of it. And I'm like, I didn't get into Chinese tea because it was localized for me. I got into Chinese tea because it was different and interesting and really good. So that's the energy I try to take with me to the shows. My voice is going to be messed up. I have an improv show tonight too. So I have 2 hours of rehearsal and an improv show after this as well today. So it's going to be crazy. Questions. What are your hopes and plans for the tea house this year? A lot of big hopes and plans. We have a lot of cool stuff planned for 2026. One is the tea oranges, which we've been working a year on, making our own tea oranges. This tea orange is filled with moonlight white tea from Yunnan. You can't find a moonlight white tea orange anywhere else in the world, as far as I know. It's going to be one of the 5 flavors of tea oranges that launches in February. We've spent a year working on them. Really hope you guys like them. We're going to have we have a really great box in May that's coming out with new stuff, including a new tea from Doi Doi, which is really nice. And also a new herbal tea, which has not been sold. Really, there's not a lot of places selling it in the US, so that's going to be fun. In August, we're going to do a themed box off of Guizhou province. So it's all going to be teas from Guizhou that we got from this amazing tea mountain. And I'm not officially ready to announce it, but we're very seriously looking into doing a vacation, a tea tour, where people can sign up and be able to come to China to go to the tea mountains with us and be able to go to the tea mountains that are the same tea mountains that we get you guys your tea. So keep an eye on that. And in April and May, I'm going to be going back to China, and my dads are actually going to be coming with me. So I'm going to be able to lead my dads around Yunnan and take them all these amazing places and shoot video for you guys of my family vacation, which would be fun. You know, we might even start doing Chinese matcha this year. I found a really great Chinese matcha creator when I went to Guizhou last year. And we would have done it earlier, except as you guys know, there's a global matcha shortage and we couldn't get, the only matcha they had left was not up to my quality. So we're waiting until their next crop comes around and they'll be able to make matcha for us. And so no guarantees, because there's a lot of challenges with getting into a new product like matcha. But if I can, I'd love for 2026 to end with matcha on the website as well, Chinese matcha. And then finally, I feel like, you know, I really hope by the end of 2026, we will have figured out all of our problems with the UK and the EU shipping and customs clearance, and we'll be able to give a much better selection and a much better experience to our customers in the EU and UK. Yeah, I know it hasn't been as good as I wanted it to be. That being said, we've done a lot of work to be able to get there. And if you're in the EU or UK, you can just purchase, and there's you don't need to pay the American tariffs. You don't need to deal with any long shipping times. It's in your region. But the selection is not as big as I want it to be. So we're building out there. And we also might have we're going to send out intro soon. I believe we're 100% on starting this. We're going to start a tea society for high school and college tea clubs to help the Gongfu tea culture grow amongst young people. I know a lot of my followers are, you know, they're in high school, they're in college. You know, they're not dropping $80 on loose leaf tea. We want to be able to find a way to help those people as well and build the Gongfu tea culture. And, you know, building a society of high school and college clubs is one way that I think that we might be able to help out the community. So that's really great. So questions over here. Grant Wazoo says, will there be a subscription box again, or will the Oolong sampler be restocked anytime soon? The subscription is still running. Every 3 months, we have a new subscription. Instead of a launch day, we have a launch month, because if you haven't been paying attention, international trade is now very, very difficult to do in America. And all around the world, it's getting harder and harder to do trade. There are more and more rules, and I think the easy era of trade where you just put stuff in the mail and you could order a USB cable from China and it shows up in the mail, that era is kind of ending. And now it's very difficult to do all the paperwork and everything to get all this stuff in and out. But the goal is still to continue to do our subscription every 3 months. The February box is coming in February. In May, we're going to have another box, and the August box has already been purchased and is being packed as soon as we can get it packed. So we operate about half a year ahead of where you guys see. That's going to be there. And the oolong sampler, we're actually updating. So the Taiwan oolong sampler, originally it was a $50 sampler and it came with 4 different teas. And now we're going to make it 7 different teas. So all of the Taiwanese teas we have on the website are all going to be in one sampler. And we're going to give a little less tea so that we can get the price down. So you'll have 10 grams of 7 different teas. And that way you can have 2 sessions each of all the teas we have. And the price of the product will go down. So you can try our entire Taiwanese selection cheaper and then pick the ones you actually like and then go get bigger sessions of that. And I just had a meeting with Claire, who is our China team lead and is our head designer of all of our packaging. We had a meeting last night about how we're going to pull this off. And it's very challenging. Like, the biggest problem in Taiwan is not the tea, it's the packaging. There's one packaging company in all of Taiwan. So we're actually going to wind up printing our packaging in the mainland, shipping it to Taiwan, and then packing it with the Taiwanese tea in Taiwan and then exporting it out of Taiwan. But we had to do that because the last time, if you guys remember, we had tons of challenges with our Taiwanese tea samplers. One of the challenges you didn't see because we were delayed so much on the customs is it took a long time to get the packaging. The one packaging company in Taiwan just doesn't want to work with us because our scale isn't big enough. And we have we want to do everything custom. They want to sell a flat box that says Taiwan gift on it. And with the steeping instructions printed on the box for if it's printed on the box and you haven't put the tea in there, how do you know what the steeping instructions are? But a lot of their main clients are like Taiwanese gift shops or stuff like that, or tourist shops. And so they don't want to do any custom printing. They didn't want to do any custom work. They just did not want to do what we wanted to do. And rather than just, give you guys a crappy experience, we found a shipping company that can print in the mainland, ship to Taiwan, fill it there, send it off. And so that's the reason we're out of stock and we're going to be fixing it. But yes, it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be cool. Kitty Rocker 200 says the effort and care put into the teas and the business is inspiring. Thank you so much. We do it for you guys. It's a lot of fun. I just want to give you guys the experience that I get over there, and it's doing the best we can. Questions. It's not about the book directly, but would you go and do events in the EU about tea, like the Vienna Tea Festival, and also maybe do a show or a reading as well? I'd love to get back to the EU and UK. I'm hoping that in the fall, I will have time to do it. I'm not going to have time in the spring because I'm going to be in China for 2 months. The summer, we may do that tea trip in China. But the fall and the winter, I may be able to find my way over there. And if I'm going to go to Europe, I'd rather go in the fall rather than the winter. And I'd rather spend winter in Los Angeles. So that's definitely on the tour, on the thing. But as far as the tea festivals go, if anybody is in charge of the Vienna Festival wants me to come, let me know. Send me an invite. I believe they did get in touch with me last time, but it was like a week before the event, and there was nothing, like I couldn't be a part of the event. I could just show up and see people, which would have been fun. But by that time I had like my whole EU trip itinerary, and we had our own tea meetups we did with people, and we did a meetup in Rome. We did a meetup in Copenhagen. We did a meetup in Berlin. We did a meetup in London. We did a meetup in Oxford. Am I missing one? We did a lot of tea meetups in the EU. So I hope to be able to come back. I really enjoy kind of the European cities and the walkability and just kind of everything being under control there, because I live in LA where nothing is under control. So it's very, very cool. So questions. Eminem Music 12 says, how do I get the book? I won. If you are a winner from this, we're going to send you a message on your social, right? How are we going to get in touch with them? Or also, if you want to be doubly sure, send us a private message. You can message me at Jesse's Tea House, and I'll connect you to the team to make sure that you get your prizes. So anybody on the live stream that is worried about not getting your prize, private message me at Jesse's Tea House on Instagram, or email teafriendsupport@jessesteahouse.com and let us know what prize you won. And we've written down who the prize winners are here, so we'll be able to do that. Congratulations to the winners from Invisible Squids. Sammy says, come to Kansas City. I would love to do more stuff in the US as well. I need to figure out how I'm doing it, because I don't know, maybe I need to build a stand-up show and tour a stand-up show, because I feel like I can't I don't know how to charge for a tea event by itself. Like, I don't think we'd be able to pay tickets and airfare and hotel just off of tea unless you guys are paying $50, $60 a person. And that's a lot of money to pay for tea. But it would probably take that kind of cost in order to do a tea event, because you can't do a tea event for 100 people. It's got to be small. So maybe I'll do I did a tea and comedy show once that was really fun, where I was doing comedy on stage and we had people making tea in the back and come around and pouring. So maybe something like that would be fun. People saying come to Indiana would be a lot of fun. It would be really cool. People in Albany, Oregon. How far is Albany from Portland? I think Portland has a tea garden. I think there's a Japanese or Chinese tea garden that I've heard of in Oregon. That would be maybe a cool place to work with. So maybe that's another way of doing it, of like finding, like the Huntington Gardens here in LA, that they have a tea garden and have a tea event there, and find the tea garden in Portland. I think there was a Japanese garden in Florida I went to once, but like maybe some museums. The Getty Museum here has a beautiful garden, and like, people might be able to go in and see that. So maybe some stuff of that would be cool. So tea tour of Yunnan, please. We're going to be doing a tour. I think the tour, if everything works out, the tour would be sometime in August or September, and it would be in Guizhou and Yunnan. That's the plan right now. But the real thing I need to do is I need to hire a person to do all the work, because our China team is so busy designing all the products and doing the purchasing and the packaging and the logistics and the shipping and the taxes and the different warehouses. We have 4 different warehouses, and the packaging needs to be different for each of them. They're so busy doing that I don't want to also say, by the way, we're going to start a tourism company. Like, let's do it. If I'm going to do it, I need to bring on a new person to do it. And so I need to do the math about, once I've paid this person to spend half a year putting together this project and doing all the stuff and the research on the insurances and all that sort of stuff, the number needs to come out to something reasonable to charge people. And we're still not really going to make any money from it. So it's a lot of work. And it's the reason why I haven't done it so far is it's a lot of work. Even if we charge what's going to seem like a lot of money to you guys, it's not going to be a lot of money when you take into account all the work that needs to be done. So, and I don't want to charge stupid money and make it ultra luxury. I want to make it accessible for people. So we'll see how that goes. But I've thought about the tea tour a lot. We've had meetings on it. I've talked to the Sister Eye and our mountain in Guizhou that we want to take you guys to. They're all for it. Everybody's for it. It's just a lot of work that needs to be done. So we'll work out here. King Suleiman says, why is the vid low quality? That's because I personally am low quality. I'm a low quality male. I am pixelated in real life. What you're seeing is the way I actually am. It's a horrible medical condition and I need to deal with it. Next questions. Any plans on getting more full tea cakes on the site from Caribou? Yes. So with the success of the mini tong, we have the mini tongs, which are the 7-gram coins. We have the 50-gram cakes of each of the teas in the mini tong. And we've heard from people that they want big ones. So we're actually going to be making big cakes of all of Sister Eye's teas, or at least the mini tong teas. Some of the other ones we're still checking. But we're going to make full versions of these. I believe the everyday line, like the everyday red tea, everyday sheng tea, I think we're going to do in 357 grams. And then the high-end teas like the 1,000-Year Tree and Sister Eye's Black Beauty, I think we're going to do 250 grams. And the reason is because the expensive teas, like I really want to avoid charging like $200 for a tea cake, but that tea is very expensive. Just the raw material of the tea itself is very expensive. So I want to bring down the sticker price a little, but still find a way for people to be able to get more. And we're going to be able to do a pretty good discount. I expect that the full 357-gram cakes is probably going to come out to around the price of the 4-pack of the 50 grams. So you'll get an extra 150 grams or something like that. I don't want to commit to the price now because we haven't bought it. We haven't packed it. I don't know how much I need to spend on it. But we have the design from the packaging. We have the paper, like all the designing already done. And so that'll make it cheaper to press the big cakes. And then also I can see if Sister Eye will give us a little bit of a discount if we're doing bigger cakes because you're selling more tea. But that's going to be that's the plan. And then hopefully we're going to have, the other reason I want to do that is these 7 teas, I spent $10,000 on pesticide testing and regulations to be able to sell this in all 4 markets. So I have to use that because once I have the testing done, I can sell it in a 7-gram cake. I can sell it in a 50-gram cake. I can sell it in a 357-gram cake, and I don't need to pay another $10,000 for testing. But this is, if you haven't noticed from the interviews we had before, I'm really making a play. Like, I want to be the guy who's doing it all properly, that's delivering safe and really good tea to you guys. It'll cost a couple extra dollars compared to some other stores, but we're doing stuff that I think a lot of other people are not doing. And we're really doing the work of going straight to the tea sources and trying to get you guys the good stuff and to do it properly and pay our taxes. And I don't want the tea house falling apart because we didn't pay our taxes or didn't do our pesticide testing, So it's gonna happen. So very, very cool. Bite-sized bread says, thank you for doing so much for people who have safe tea. Of course, that's, I personally really trust our tea people. And I was drinking all this stuff before I did all that testing. Like, when you go to China, you see the high-end tea scene. They're not spraying this stuff with junk because they have high-end customers. But all the same, the FDA doesn't know that. So we're trying to figure it out. Somebody says, we need a tea pet of you, please. Mouth open to catch the tea. What do you think, Victor? Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it would be good. It would be good to have your head.
You got my head?
On one of those bubbly heads.
Yeah, maybe just a big head with the mouth open. That would be the weirdest thing. I can't even imagine going to one of our porcelain guy and being like, can you make this? And it's just like me, that would be a moment where I'd realize my life has changed and things are never the same after. But even better, it spits. Yeah, they make but I'm not doing the pee-pee boy. I'm not doing the pee-pee boy with me though. That would be inappropriate. Emma asks, when's the warehouse in Swindon opening? It's already open. jessieteahouse.com. Make sure the flag on the top corner is the UK flag. It's mostly tea equipment now. We've had unbelievable problems getting tea into the UK, but hopefully by February and March, you're going to have another 12 options if everything goes well. You're going to have the mini tong and all 7 of the teas in the mini tong, and you're going to have the tea oranges, the 5 tea orange sampler, and all of the tea oranges 10 packs, and hopefully 2 tea resins and a 2 tea resin combo. If everything goes well with the customs, which no promises because nothing's ever gone well with customs in UK. But if everything goes well with the customs, then by the end of March, you're going to have a lot more options available there. But the tea equipment is already there and it's already in the UK, and there's no American tariffs on anything. There's no American tariffs on the Canadian store, the EU store, or the UK store. So the tariff fee is only for American customers. And I would love to wake up tomorrow and find out we're going back to living in the free market, but that's not up to me. Very, very good. Question, Frosty, is cum brewing a good method for getting a high quality? I don't know what cum brewing, I assume that means home brewing. Is brewing a good method for a high quality tea tasting without so many tannins for stomach issues? Come to Idaho for sure. I'd love to go to Idaho. I've heard it's beautiful out there. Would love to have you. Thank you for all you do. I got to go to these wild places and drink tea, man. That would be so much fun. Maybe I should get an RV or something. You should do a tea tour summer and just drive around for 3 months. I'm never going to have a girlfriend, man, if I do this shit. I'm not going to be able to hold it down. I don't know if anyone wants to come on the RV, let me know. Been picking up women on live stream with my as of yet non-existent RV going to Idaho. Hey, nothing else working. Questions for tea without tannins for stomach issues. The tea itself has the tannin count in it. So if you want to reduce that tannin intensity, the biggest thing you can do is switch what tea you're using. So some teas are going to have more tannins than others. I think white tea has very few tannins. Oolong tea is a little. Avoid maybe the red teas and definitely avoid the raw pu'er. That's the heaviest kind of tannin thing out there. And then in brewing, what you can do from a brewing perspective is use less hot water for a little bit of a longer steep time. So a lot of the tannins come out at the hotter end of the brewing. So if you're brewing a tea at boiling, maybe bring it back to like 85 Celsius, 185 Fahrenheit, and then try boiling it. Try brewing it that way. And if it doesn't taste as flavorful, you can even extend the steep time, and you're going to get less tannins than you might think from a long steep because the temperature is lower. Also, if you pour the water in at, let's say, 85 Celsius, 185 Fahrenheit, and it's steeping in there for 30 seconds, and the heat is being absorbed by the tea leaves and being absorbed by the porcelain, by the end of it, you're really steeping it with water that might be closer to 60 Celsius, which is not hot at all. So it's going to draw less tannins out of the thing. So yes. Jessica Garrett says, any white tea news? Yes, we have a white tea orange that's going to be launching in February. And again, these are very unusual. We made these from scratch. We found the tea orange farmer. We found the Moonlight white tea farmer, and we put the tea that we bought into the oranges that we bought and packed them up in our way and made something that really is not going to be found elsewhere. So that's going to be good. You're going to get one of those. If you're a subscriber, you're going to get 2 of our 5 tea orange samplers. So you'll have 2 of each of the 5 different flavors. And then in May as well, we're also going to have a white tea chocolate bar coming back to the site. We used to have a white tea chocolate bar. We ran out of those and they couldn't make them anymore. And so now we are going to have a new white tea chocolate bar. And that chocolate bar also is EU, UK, Canada, US, all certified. It's going to be in all of the markets. And it's going to be in our May subscription box. And we did a lot of work on that chocolate bar to make sure that they break easily, because one of my previous problems with all of the chocolate bar shaped teas that I've had in my life is they tend to press them really, really hard. And that way you can press lots of them very quickly, and it keeps the cost down. But it also, in my opinion, it just makes a bad tea experience. Like, you have to wait a super long time for the tea to open up, and the beginning steeps are radically different than the middle steeps. And so we worked with a special manufacturer to be able to press it as lightly as possible, but still keep the chocolate bar shape. So so it's, for those of you who know, it's not actually chocolate. It's just tea pressed in the shape of a chocolate bar, but it breaks off into little squares like a chocolate bar. And so that way you can have your whole bar. And when you want a piece, you break off a piece and you brew that. So that's going to be really fun. We'll do a couple more questions. Very, very cool. Chocolate. Wait, so it's not chocolate, just shaped? Yeah, it's just chocolate. I mean, we might, like, I love chocolate, and I know there are like tea chocolate collaborations, but that's got to go further down the line for us. I think I have too many things I want to do. Although it would be a pretty sick job to just like eat a lot of chocolate. Oh, I have to try all the chocolate. That would be the way to do it. Bunk Bunk says orange tea sampler. Yes, we're going to have a tea orange sampler. So the way the tea oranges work is that we're going to have a 5-pack sampler. That sampler is going to have one of each of 5 different flavors. And then the individual flavors are going to be available as 10 packs in the same way right now. If you buy our tea oranges, they come in a 10-pack. They're going to be available in 10 packs as well. Questions from Alyssa Caston. Do you have any tips for someone trying to open their own brick and mortar tea house? It's hard. I mean, there's a reason that I haven't opened one, and it's a lot of work. I would say the first thing is you really should love running a tea house. A lot of people like tea, but then they start running a tea house and they're like, I don't like running the tea house. The people who I've seen that have succeeded at running great in-person tea houses, they love running the tea house. They love having the community there. They love doing the work of maintaining and creating an amazing space for people. So I guess check to see, are you a person who likes tea, or are you a person who wants to run a tea house? Because those may be different things. If you are a person who loves to run a tea house, I would say that it's important that you have like an ethos or a theme to it. If it's just tea, it's not going to be interesting or special or unusual enough to make people say, I want to go back. I think there should be something about the way you do it. For me, it would be focus on the Chinese tea. You know, other tea houses do different things. If I ran a tea house, I would be doing Chinese tea. I probably wouldn't have matcha lattes. I probably wouldn't have peppermint. You know, that's just because that's the type of tea house I want to make. Now, we may open and realize that unless we sell matcha lattes, we can't make rent. And I don't think it would be a bad thing if you realize like, hey, we have to change in order to pay rent. I don't think that's a bad thing. But it would you'd have challenges there. And then I also think there's an opportunity for tea houses like in areas that are kind of accessible to cities, but not in the city, because the city rent is too high. It's going to be very stressful if you want to open a tea house in Los Angeles or New York or Boston. But if you're a little bit outside, I mean, I know a friend who opened a tea shop in Lansing, Michigan, and I was telling her a lot of this stuff of like, oh, it's going to be hard to run a tea house, blah, blah, blah. And then I heard how much she had to pay for rent in Lansing, and I was like, oh, you could do it. You could totally do it. I think it's totally doable. If you love running a tea house, that is. But it's just the rent is a big deal. And but I think that, I don't know, I think that there's still an opportunity. I don't think that anyone has cracked the code of how to run an in-person tea house in America yet. I think that, and that's good and bad. It means the bad is you're going to have to figure it out yourself. The good is that I think it is out there. There is a way of doing it that works. I've seen many different business models. There's a tea house here in downtown LA that's really more of like a cultural hangout, like work, like what do they call them? Like a co-working space where it's not really about the tea, but it's about the vibes and the place and the location and the community. And they seem to be doing pretty well. There's also, you know, I know people that they do Gongfu tea sessions and they have private rooms and you can rent a private room for, you know, whatever, a certain amount per hour and you can have as much tea as you want. So I think being creative about how to do it is very cool. And I have my own creative ideas, but I don't want to reveal them on the live stream because if I do them, then I don't want anyone copying my stuff. So I think that everyone has to find their own way of getting there, but I think it'd be really cool. So questions. Final Theory says, would you consider going to schools to teach about tea and tea culture? I mean, if anyone is a school that wants to pay me to go there to do it, that makes things easier. If there's no payment, like, you know, occasionally I could do something like that, but I can't be everywhere at once. What I'm mostly thinking of with the schools right now is trying to get that high school and college tea club thing set up. And that way we can digitally be able to help build the community, create synergies between the different clubs, have the club owners, have the club runners in America get to know the club runners in the UK and the EU. You know, we have a lot of followers in the Philippines and Singapore, which we really can't get them tea right now because it's hard, it's expensive. Some people do buy tea, but like they could have a tea club. And like we could help them with the tea club and bring everybody together, global community. So I think right now, given how busy I am with everything, it's more likely I'm going to help digitally, but you never know. Never know. Very cool. Questions over here. Somebody was saying, Frosty D, I don't want to sound like I'm a broken record. Again, sorry for the misspeak on the word cold brew. You guys are amazing. Oh yeah. If you cold brew, you can cold brew all of my teas. I'm not an expert on the cold brew, how much water to how much tea leaf. Usually, honestly, if I do cold brew, it's because I have leaves like this that I've been drinking that still have energy in them. And then I just literally put them into this jug because I have two of these. I have one for fresh water and one for cold brew. And I just put it in there. I fill it up with water. I leave it in the fridge. It'll be smooth. It'll be sweet. Yeah, feel free to experiment with your cold brew and see how it works and if you like it better. I don't drink a lot of cold brew personally because I just learned what I learned in China. And in China, they tend to drink mostly hot liquid. They don't like cold liquid in general. Of course, they still sell like, you know, Coca-Cola and stuff like that and all this stuff. And there's a lot of big tea drink brands that's cold, but generally speaking, I just never really drank a lot of that. So I think we're going to call it here because it's 11:45. I've been on 2 hours, 45 minutes. I have a show tonight and a rehearsal, so I don't want to blow up my thing. But last note here from Final Theory, my high school is both a tea club and a Chinese club, and I'm an officer. The tea club is more Western tea culture. Whichever, I mean, maybe Chinese clubs in general want to join, but keep an eye open on the website and you'll see information about the Tea Society soon for the high school and college fans. And I just want to thank you all so much for coming. We had like 200 people on this thing the whole time. it's really unbelievable that so many people have become fans of the Tea House and followed us along this journey. Please keep supporting. Please keep liking, sharing, following. If you have the resources to buy the tea, please go and buy some tea. Support the Tea House. That's the best way of doing this. And I just want to say thank you all for letting me do this with my life and my time, drink tea, hang out with good people, be able to work with my friends and come over and do live streams and all this sort of stuff. I'm able to do that because of your guys' support. So I really do appreciate it. So thank you all so much. If you didn't know before, you can also join our Discord. I'm going to paste the Discord invite link into the chat right here. So that if you guys are interested in joining our Discord community, you can join the Discord. We have almost 8,000 people on that Discord, and it's been a really great server. Like people really get into tea, and really like there's a lot of good discussion on there. It's a very positive place. I know some Discord servers in the tea scene can be a little bit toxic, but ours is very untoxic. And I'm very proud of that we have such a good group of people. So how do I find the intro link though? Hold on, online, switch accounts. That's not it. How do I get the Discord link? It's different on the phone. On the phone, there's like an area up here where I can get the intro link. Here it's all private messages. Oh, here it is. I got it. Here we go. Server, invite to server. Get a link going. Link never expires. Generate a new link, copy. And I'm going to put this in the chat. And I really hope you guys join the Discord. It's a really great place. And we oftentimes also will, if we have sales or special events or stuff, we'll let the Discord people know first. And if you're a subscriber to the Tea Club and you didn't know, we have a private Discord like chat room just for our subscribers. So if you are a subscriber and you're not in that chat, in the welcome chat, you can @mod, like @MODS, like @the mods, and tell them you're a subscriber, and they will check in. They'll put you in the special chat and give you the permission. So, we're here to grow the community, and you guys are the community. So anything I can do to help you guys, I really appreciate it. You can also join the House of Scrump, and if you don't know what that is, sounds like you're going to need to join the Discord to find out. But once you're in the House of Scrump, you never leave. You never leave. I've been there for years. Hail Scrump. Okay, great. We are, I'm going to give just one more minute. I'm going to share the link one more time just in case it got pushed to the bottom for everybody. Just again, thank you all so much for coming. I was drinking my red tea, the Yunnan Rose red tea today. I hope you all got a chance to drink some tea as well. And we will see each other in the future. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hopefully we get a 10-year anniversary. That would be amazing. Can you imagine? It's already been 5 years. That's nuts. Hopefully we get to 10. Let's hope we make it. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.